Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. Naruto. Tsunade is so fired up, I have a emotional system. Chapter 1. Early morning. Inside the bustling village of Konoha. One tall and one short, two young Jungtai walked down the street holding hands. The fan-shaped clan emblem behind them indicated the identity of the Uchiha clan. And the villagers on the street looked at the two of them. His eyes were full of alienation, defensiveness, and even disgust. Konoha high level. Uchiha Ryu's eyes narrowed slightly, and the hand holding his younger brother Uchiha Itachi couldn't help but clench a little. No, I should say, 1,000 hands. He is the root of the Uchiha's fall to this step. The high-level rulers of Konoha today are all disciples of Senjukuma, the extreme Uchiha hater. Completely inherited the discrimination and defense of the Uchiha by Senju. Even, there is a tendency to carry forward. Especially after the Nine Tails attacked Konoha 3 years ago. The Konoha higher-ups spread rumors everywhere that it was the Uchiha clan who controlled the Nine Tails and caused heavy losses to the village. He even killed the 4th Hokage. It was also from that time that the attitude of the villagers towards the Uchiha clan became worse and worse. And it's getting closer and closer to the night of extermination. What the hell should I do? A deep worry flashed in Uchiha Ryu's eyes. Yes. He's not native to the ninja world. It's a traverser. His current identity is the eldest son of the Uchiha clan patriarch, Uchiha Fugaku. As a traverser, he certainly knew what happened to the Uchiha clan. So, the fight starts from the crossing. The Uchiha has been trying to find a way to break the game. It's a pity. His talent is really limited, and he can't compare with his two wall-hung brothers at all. As for strangling Uchiha Itachi, it's not like this idea hasn't come out of nowhere. But the Uchiha Ryu is very clear. Although Itachi is the executor of the extermination, it is by no means the key. Without him, there would be others. The root of the problem, in the final analysis, is still under the influence of the Thousand Hands. The contradictions between the Konoha high level and the Uchiha clan cannot be reconciled at all. And the strength of the Uchiha clan is not enough. 1,000 hands. Not only did he target the Uchiha when he was alive, but he was still harming the Uchiha even after he died. Quote. The Uchiha turned his head to look at the Hokage rock statue in the distance, and muttered something in his heart again. Just when he was feeling melancholy in his heart, a mechanical voice suddenly sounded. Ding! Congratulations to the host for awakening the emotional system. When others have more than 80 strong emotions including but not limited to excitement, worship, hatred, jealousy, desire to win, etc. due to the host's behavior, the host will receive a system reward. Note: the system reward is related to the emotional intensity, strength, and development of the emotional person. Plug-in. Is it finally here? At this moment, Uchiha Ryu had the urge to look up to the sky and roar. With the help of the system, his strength can be improved rapidly. When the time comes, he will definitely be able to rewrite the ending of the Uchiha. By Uchiha Ryu's side, Uchiha Itachi, who was as careful as a hare, suddenly noticed his abnormality. Asked softly, Nissan, you what's wrong? The big clear eyes are full of concern. Ding! Uchiha Itachi has a strong concern, emotion, reward, Uchiha Shuriken proficiency level. Ding! Detected that the host triggers emotions for the first time, and the reward is upgraded. Uchiha Shuriken proficiency level advanced to Uchiha Shuriken master level. Immediately afterward, a magical power surged through the body. In Uchiha Ryu's mind, a new wave of knowledge suddenly emerged. It's as if the top-notch Shuriken technique that has been practiced for many years is directly integrated into the body. You can use it at any time. Uchiha Ryu's pupils shrank suddenly. This is the reward. The system is too powerful, isn't it? The Uchiha Ryu looked down at his brother and shook his head at first. His face was full of the look of seeing the treasure. This is Uchiha Itachi, one of the wall hangings. From him, I guess I can explode a lot of good things. Before the Uchiha could take the next step, the voice of the system came again. Ding! Detected that the host is located at the entrance of the ninja school. Do you sign in? Check in. A look of joy appeared on the Uchiha Ryu's face. Could it be that there is more than one way to trigger system rewards? Immediately reach in your mind, sign in. Ding! The host successfully checks into the ninja school and unlocks the undead of 1,000 hands. Ding! Host check-in detected for the first time, triggering additional rewards. Unlock undead among the 1,000 hands pillars. System prompt. The summoned undead will be sealed in the system space inside the host, and everything in the system space will be completely controlled by the host. Arouse the strong emotions of the undead, and you can also get rewards. Uchiha Ryu's pupils shrank suddenly. And this kind of good thing. These are the two first Hokage. In terms of combat effectiveness, it is completely above this era. It's so cool to be able to burst gold coins from them. Especially between the 1,000 hands, this guy hates every Uchiha almost equally. Almost. Right, almost. There's no need to use a mirror. As far as his Uchiha is concerned, it is estimated that he doesn't have to do anything. Just stand in front of the 1,000 hands, and it is estimated that the negative emotions of that goods will have to be surging up. When the time comes, the reward must not explode. And that's 1,000 hands. As an Uchiha, how can you do nothing? Now I'm a sword, and you're a fish. Boom. The second Hokage, are you ready to bear the revenge of the young patriarch of the Uchiha family? Boom. The second Hokage, are you ready to bear the revenge of the young patriarch of the Uchiha family? The corners of Uchiha Ryu's mouth formed into a sinister grin. His mind moved. A spirit body has appeared outside the system space. And at this time in the system space, the undead between the 1,000 hands pillar and the 1,000 hands have been completely activated. The 1,000 hands pillar opened his eyes, his face full of doubts. Well, what's going on? Isn't the old man dead, and now it's, are you alive again? Huh, ding. 1,000 hands have a strong excitement between the pillars, reward, 1,000 hands flow, strange force. 1,000 hands are equally puzzled. His brow furrowed. This is the case. Is it reincarnated in the dirt? Someone dares to play with the old man's soul. Ding. 1,000 hands between the door to produce a strong, angry, emotion, reward, the art of the instant body, 1,000 hands between the door version. 1,000 hands rolled his eyes and muttered. I told you a long time ago, don't study this forbidden technique. Now I will be punished. Shut up, big brother. 1,000 hands roared angrily. Then he took a closer look at the state of the brothers. No, this state is not of rebirth in the soil. But our souls are imprisoned here, as if they were sealed-tailed beasts. Who the hell is it? At this moment, there was a sound of da, 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 footsteps outside the door. The two brothers followed the prestige. I saw a young man with a long figure and extremely handsome appearance, strolling over with a smile on his face. Looking at the two of them, there was a fanatic. The Uchiha Ryu bowed with a smile on his face. I've seen the two ancestor Hokage-sama. Quote. The eyes of the 1,000 hands pillar lit up, and he laughed heartlessly. What a handsome young man, as handsome as the old man was when he was young. Compared with him, the scheming between the 1,000 hands is much deeper. He folded his arms in his hands and looked at the Uchiha Ryu in front of him with a scrutinizing gaze. The whole body exudes the majesty of the superior. Shen said, Little ghost, is that the one you used to imprison the souls of my two brothers here? What kind of forbidden art is this? Who are you, and what is your purpose? The Uchiha Ryu was stunned at first. It seemed that the undead who were summoned by the system did not know the existence of the system. And, TMD Senju door. You are all meat on the board, and you dare to be so arrogant. Who is this interrogating? However, the Uchiha Ryu did not attack immediately. He's ready to play this great benefactor of the Uchiha family. Immediately smiled. Honestly, to Hokage-sama. Quote. I am the son of the patriarch of the current Uchiha clan, Uchiha Ryu. Quote. At this time, the village was ruled by incompetence, and it was already in internal and external trouble. Quote. I used the forbidden art to summon the two of you to come, because I wanted to use the wisdom and power of the two previous Hokages to find a better future and development for Konoha and my Uchiha clan. Quote. I see. The 1,000 hands pillar nodded, seemingly convinced of this statement. Looking at the Uchiha Ryu's gaze, there was a faint hint of praise. I see, that's a fart. Senju sneered. Big brother, can't you see that he's talking nonsense? Born evil Uchiha imp, do you think the old man will believe your nonsense? Ding. Thousand hands generate strong. Anger, emotions, reward, water escape, water array wall thousand hands version. Senju turned his head to stare at the Uchiha Ryu with a look of vigilance. This guy in front of him is not only an Uchiha. Moreover, he is also the son of the patriarch of the contemporary Uchiha clan. Starting with Madara Uchiha, the patriarch of the Uchiha clan, how can there be a good person? Looking at Senjuma, who was becoming more and more agitated, the Uchiha shrugged. Sneered. Well, now that you've seen it. Quote, then I'm in a showdown. Quote, I imprisoned your souls in order to borrow your power and destroy Konoha. I knew. A look of, sure enough, the old man has already seen through you. The long and narrow eyes are all wide. The imps of the Uchiha clan, who are naturally evil, dare to try to destroy Konoha in vain. The old man will get you the result with his own hands. Ding. Thousand hands generate strong. Anger, emotions, reward, water escape, water dragon bullet thousand hands between the door version. His fingers moved slightly, and he was about to mobilize the chakra in no time. The thousand-handed pillar next to him frowned, and shouted, stop. As he spoke, he reached out to stop his brother. At the same time, also prepared to break out chakra. However, the voices of the two were so loud that the whole space seemed to shake a few times. But, other than that, it's gone. Not even the slightest chakra fluctuation. The scene suddenly became awkward. Shinsho looked at his palm in some shock. This, old man. Huh, the Uchiha sneered. Do you want to mobilize chakra? I'm sorry, I'm the one in charge of this space. Quote. HMPH. Senju snorted coldly. Even if there is no chakra, the old man can clean you up. If you make a gesture, you have to rush up desperately. He's already made up his mind. I want to nip the threat of Konoha, and the evil Uchiha clan imp, in the bud. You're still so hot-tempered. The Uchiha shook his head. Since you can't communicate properly. Okay then. Quote. Kneel down between 1,000 hands. Accompanied by a snap of the fingers of the Uchiha stream. An invisible pressure instantly descended on the soul body between the 1,000 hands. He didn't resist in the slightest, and knelt down heavily on the spot. Yaga. 1,000 hands were furious. Although, as a soul body, he doesn't feel pain. But, this sense of humiliation, but it can't be left behind. He's the second Hokage. Now he is being forced to kneel. Especially, the object of his kneeling turned out to be the evil Uchiha. What a shame this is. Ding. 1,000 hands generate strong. Anger, emotions, reward, 1,000 hands flow knife technique 1,000 hands between the doors version. Ding. 1,000 hands have a strong, unwilling, emotion, reward, the nature of the water attribute chakra changes. Ding. Thousands of hands produce strong, humiliation, emotions, reward, water attribute chakra form change. Door. Looking at his younger brother who was forced to kneel, his brows furrowed between the 1,000 hands pillar. Ding. 1,000 hands pillar generates a strong, worry, mood, reward, total chakra *3. But even if he was once a ninja god, now, it's just a soul body without the slightest power. I could only force a smile and said, this little brother, my brother is short-tempered and can't speak. Quote. I will discipline him well in the future. Quote. Look, can you let him go first? Shut up, big brother. He roared through gritted teeth as he knelt between the 1,000 hands on the ground. I'm 1,000 hands, how can I bow my head to the Uchiha? The old man swears not to beg him. The Uchiha Ryu shrugged at the first Hokage. Look, it's not that I don't give you face, it's that he doesn't want to get up. Quote. Immediately after, the incarnation of Uchiha Wachiang. Your brother's temper is too bad, you have to educate and educate well, otherwise you will suffer a big loss in the future. Quote. I'll help you hone his temperament. Quote. When he's not so unruly, I'll let him go. Quote. Alas. Senju glared at his brother and sighed heavily. Uchiha Ryu's gaze swept over the brothers. He smiled and said, to Ancestor Hokage, I'll go first, you guys just stay here. Quote. I'll let you see it with your own eyes. Quote. How did the Uchiha change Konoha? Quote. As he spoke, the entire soul body turned into a point of light and dissipated. The two brothers looked at each other for a moment. Now the people left directly, and they had nowhere to vent if they wanted to. However, they have also found out. Through this cage, they were able to see the outside world. After all, Senjutsu is a generation of iron-blooded Hokage. The mind is far more tenacious than others. After the initial anger, he had calmed down by this time. The thousand-handed pillars are even more open-minded by nature, sitting next to their younger brother. Muttered, since you can't do anything. Quote, okay, let's take a look at what Konoha looks like today. Quote, this place, is this a school? Senju snorted coldly, yes, it's the ninja school I founded. Quote, it seems that it has developed well over the years. Quote, outside, the corners of Uchiha Ryu's mouth rose slightly. He could hear the words of the two brothers. And he can freely shield the perception of the undead in the system space. It's a really nice feeling of being in control. What's more, every now and then, you can harvest a wave of leaks. According to this rhythm, what kind of wood escape and flying thunder god will have to be cut out sooner or later? Uchiha Itachi looked up at his brother and asked, Nissan, you seem to be happy. Yes, the Uchiha smiled. I just did something that I've been thinking about for many years, it's very cool. In the system space, the face of the thousand hands sank. Chao Siwen has been thinking about things for many years, do you mean forcing the old man to kneel? Evil Uchiha clan imp. Uchiha Itachi's eyes flashed with confusion, Nissan, haven't you been by my side all the time? Nothing. Quote, the Uchiha Ryu put his fingers together and gently poked it on Itachi's forehead. My stupid doo-doo yo, today's graduation exam. Quote, you have to refuel, don't roll over. Quote, HMPH. Uchiha Itachi rubbed his forehead with some dissatisfaction and whispered. My grades have been very good, so let's do more Nissan. The Uchiha Ryu smiled and didn't say anything more. Holding his brother's hand, they walked into the classroom together. Yes, he is 12 years old. And Uchiha Itachi is just 7 years old. The two are actually in the same graduating class, which shows how different their talents are. However, now that there is a system, that's a different story. Soon, the test papers were sent down. The previous ninja basic question, Uchiha Ryu answered relatively smoothly. His previous problems were mainly poor talent and weak actual combat. This kind of written test, he still has no problem. However, the thousand hands in the system space frowned. What is this? Why do you take such pediatric questions in the graduation exam of the ninja school? It's not like words. It's not like words. Isn't this the school that the old man has put a lot of effort into cultivating elite ninjas, and turned it into a place for ninja games? Ding. There is a strong dissatisfaction between the thousand hands, reward, the art of shadow clone. The Uchiha Ryu, who received the system prompt, was suddenly overjoyed. It turned out to be, even if he doesn't do anything, just through the live content, the mood swings caused by it, can he unlock rewards? That's cool, isn't it? In the system space, there was a wave of hands between the thousand-handed columns. Persuaded. Door, don't be so excited. Quote, perhaps, the ninja world is extremely peaceful now. Quote, so, the ninja school has become childish. Quote, it's a good thing that children don't have to get blood too early. Quote, HMPH. Senju snorted, I hope so. Quote, but obviously, he absolutely does not believe this statement. The Uchiha Ryu also sneered. The original Hokage is still so naive. Peace. And, not to mention the previous 3 ninja wars. Let's just say that right now, Konoha and Yun Shinobi are still fighting. However, the Uchiha Ryu was not prepared to inform them of these things. Let the Thousand Hands brother slowly discover for himself through the live broadcast, and the benefits to him will be greater. Soon, the Uchiha Ryu answered the last fill-in-the-blank question. The strongest Hokage of all generations is. Uchiha Ryu replied with a pen. 3 generations of Hokage, 8 flying sun. Cut. Senju sneered. Big brother, did you see that? The imps of the Uchiha clan are not only evil, but also stupid. I can't even answer this kind of scoring question correctly, and I even think that the monkey is the strongest Hokage in all generations. The Uchiha Ryu also sneered and replied inwardly. You're stupid, second Hokage-sama. Quote. I've been taking this question for 6 or 7 years, and I've had it every time. Quote. The answer has always been the 3 generations of Hokage. Quote. Because that's what the textbooks say. Quote. Nani? Senjutsu shook in his heart. Imp, you can hear us. That's not right. That's not the point. You mean, according to your textbooks, the strongest Hokage in the past is the ape flying sun slash. Ding. 1,000 hands have a strong shock, emotion, reward, water escape, water dragon bites 1,000 hands version. Ding. 1,000 hands have a strong shock, emotion, reward, water escape, water dragon bites 1,000 hands version. Or else, replied Uchiha as a matter of course. As you can imagine. What a shock the heart of 1,000 hands at this moment. He certainly wouldn't trust an Uchiha evil imp. But, in this matter, he did not think that the other party had any need to lie. What have monkeys been doing all these years? Not only did he turn the ninja school into a place to make games, but he even dared to openly claim that he was the strongest Hokage. It just doesn't make sense. The 1,000 hands pillar was very calm, even very relieved. The descendants are blue, and there is nothing to make a fuss about. Quote. 1,000 hands turned his head to look at his eldest brother in disbelief. Are you stupid? He flew to the sun, and he didn't even have a blood limit, and he couldn't learn the flying thunder god. I guess it's not as good as the old man, he takes his head to surpass you. In the classroom, the Uchiha Ryu was ready to start answering the final quiz question. Please explain what the will of fire is. In the space of the call system, a sigh grew between the thousands of hands. Finally, here comes a reliable question. Exclamation mark. Although this thing can't improve the quality of a ninja at all. However, it can greatly improve people's sense of belonging to Konoha. It's so necessary to instill the will of fire in students from an early age. 1,000 hands are like monkeys, and they can see through the essence of the problem at once. Thinking of this, Senju glanced at the Uchiha Ryu with hatred. The little imp frowned, and it looked difficult to put pen to paper. 1,000 hands snorted coldly in his heart, HMPH. How can an evil Uchiha imp like this answer this kind of question well? Monkey, if you are smart, you should be able to distinguish between good and evil by passing this question. Beware of this evil imp. But soon, with the Uchiha flowing pen opened, the expression between the 1,000 hands gradually froze. The compatriots of Konoha Hidden Village are like a part of my body. Quote. Even if the people in the village have a misunderstanding about the Uchiha and don't believe me, I believe everyone. Where the leaves fly, the fire grows. Quote. Even if I die one day to protect the village, the light of the fire will continue to illuminate the village and make the new leaves sprout. Quote. The corners of Uchiha Ryu's mouth rose slightly. This is a famous quote from the first Hokage and the third Hokage, the 2 Hokage-sama. Especially the last 2 sentences. They are the dying feelings of the old man Ape Fei. The will of fire, contained in it, how much gold is there, so do you need to talk about it? Ding. 1,000 hands have a strong, ridiculous, emotion, reward, 1,000 hands flow chakra pressure. Sure enough, kneeling between the 1,000 hands in the system space. At this moment, my eyes widened violently. At this moment, a strong sense of absurdity swelled in his heart. What's wrong with the world? An evil Uchiha imp who has such a deep understanding of the will of fire. Is this science? No way. Absolutely impossible. Ding. A strong, excited, emotion is generated between the 1,000 hand pillars, reward, junior immortal human body. The 1,000 hands pillar stood up suddenly. Looking at the sentences on the exam paper that contain a strong will to fire, my heart is full of excitement. Good. Truly the inheritor of the will of fire. The Uchiha stream in the outside world is equally excited. He is a man known as the god of ninjas. The rewards that burst out are really extraordinary. As soon as this primary immortal's body is integrated into his body, it brings him too many benefits. The amount of chakra has skyrocketed. The vitality is even more abundant. System space. 1,000 hands looked at his eldest brother like a fool. Shouted, Big brother, I'll ask you to use your brains, okay? He's clearly an evil Uchiha imp. If it's really the inheritor of the will of fire, how can you say that you want to destroy Konoha? How could you let the old man, the second generation Hokage, kneel here? He's clearly acting. Show us. Show the teacher. This little ghost scheming is extremely deep. He waved his hand between the thousand hands pillar and said in a deep voice. I see that kid said he was going to destroy Konoha, but it was just a joke. Moreover, you always have a natural discrimination against the Uchiha clan, which is not right. If you didn't do that to him, I don't think he would do that to you. Quote. You're going to give me a good reflection. I will never allow you to force a good boy with the will of fire in his heart to the opposite side of Konoha alive. That's a great point, the first Hokage-sama. Uchiha Ryu's voice sounded at the right time. Kazuma, it seems that you, the second generation Hokage, don't understand the will of fire at all. Quote. The will of fire is for you to treat every villager equally, love them, and even risk your life to protect them. Quote. And you, discriminating against my Uchiha clan for no reason, this is simply a trampling on the will of fire. Ding. Thousands of hands generate strong anger, emotions, reward, multiple shadow clones of the technique. Yaga. 1,000 hands were furious. My face turned red. Evil Uchiha clan imp, you are also worthy of educating the old man. The reason why the old man is. Uchiha Ryu interrupted the spell casting on the spot and rebuked loudly. Shut up, you wicked thousand-armed old ghost who has no will of fire in his heart. The Uchiha Ryu snapped his fingers again as he spoke. Immediately after, 1,000 hands found out in a sad and angry way. I really can't open my mouth by myself. At this moment, this second-generation Hokage-sama was really a little broken. That Uchiha imp, what does he call himself? The evil old ghost of the Thousand Hands clan. Moreover, he also rudely reprimanded himself for not having the will to fire. Why did he? I want to talk. I want to refute him. Why can't you speak? The eyes between the thousand hands were blood red. The effect is almost the same as opening the writing wheel. It's obviously infuriating. If eyes could kill, the Uchiha would probably have died hundreds of times. It's obviously infuriating. If eyes could kill, Uchiha Ryu would probably have died hundreds of times. Ding. Thousands of hands have a strong grievance, emotion, reward, the art of darkness. Wow. The Uchiha Ryu looked at the newly exploded reward. Suddenly my eyes lit up. It's an evil thousand-armed old ghost. Almost all of these things are aimed at the Uchiha clan. But, this high-level illusion is the best for the restraint of the Sharingan. However, it also works very well against ordinary people. And, Uchiha Ryu also thought, wait for yourself to awaken the writing wheel eye in the future. How strong is the dark technique of using the writing wheel eye to amplify? Time flies. The teachers at the ninja school are also very efficient. After the written test, the test paper is corrected in the shortest possible time. And it was sent to the desk of the third Hokage. As the supreme ruler of Konoha, of course, Sarutobi Hazashi will not personally check every test paper. However, he will still personally review the key test questions such as the graduation exam. Especially for the last course, there is an elaboration on the will of fire. 3 generations of old men smiling with pipes in their mouths and casually flipping through the files. These children are not very old, and what they write is inevitably naive. But being brainwashed by the will of fire all year round, the answer is still quite Guangweijung. Especially when I saw that one of the test papers of Uchiha Itachi. The third Hokage nodded with satisfaction. At such a young age, I have such insight. Quote. It's not easy, it's not easy. Immediately after, he flipped to the Uchiha Ryu's test paper. Eyes widened suddenly. This is, looked at the sincere words on the test paper. Especially the last sentence, where the leaves fly, the fire is endless. Quote. This moment, Ape Fei felt that his blood, which had been cooled for many years because of his addiction to power schemes, seemed to be mobilized. Good. The old man slammed the table. The Uchiha clan, there are 2 talents at once. Maybe in the future, these 2 children will be the key to solving the problems of the village and the Uchiha clan. Thinking like this, Ape Fei-san quickly took out the crystal ball from the drawer. The actual battle in the afternoon, the old man wants to watch it in person. And at this time, the Uchiha stream, who was far away in the ninja school, received a system prompt again. Ding. Ape flying sun / produces a strong emotion of appreciation, reward, the technique of the telescope. Soon, the lunch break ended. A total of 30 students from the graduating class came to the training ground together. At this time, the ninja school, although it was much weaker than when the second Hokage was in power, but it is still far from reaching the level of Naruto's generation in later generations, and only the free body technique is after graduation. A student wants to actually graduate. You must go through a number of assessment subjects such as shuriken throwing, written test, and actual combat duel. At this time, it is a real combat duel. With the draw of lots by the head teacher Ichiro Murakami, groups of students continue to take the stage to face off. The Uchiha Ryu stood in the corner, lazily leaning against the tree, his face full of indifference. If it had been yesterday, he would probably have to worry about it. But now, with so many good things drawn, Uchiha Stream's strength has made a qualitative leap. Not to mention these students, even if they are the head teacher of the middle ninja, they will not be his opponents. But today is different after all. Quote, 3 generations of old men should be stealing losses. Quote, after mastering the telescope technique himself, the Uchiha Ryu's sensitivity to this technique has also increased a lot. At this time, he could obviously feel that someone was peeking at him. This person, except for the 3 generations of old men, is unlikely to be anyone else. Looks like we're going to have to put on a good show today. Quote, the Uchiha Ryu was thinking. On the stage, Murakami Lang unfolded the paper stick in his hand and shouted, Uchiha Stream, is it my turn? Said the Uchiha Ryu, smiled and strolled to the center. In the system space, the permission to speak has been restored at this time. He drank coldly. HMPH, the old man wants to see how much strength this evil Uchiha imp has. Although Senjutsu didn't speak, he seemed to be curious. The opponent is Ichiro Murakami continued to pull out a paper stick. When he saw the name written on it, he was also stunned for a moment. But he still read it out loud, Uchiha Itachi. There was an uproar on the field. What? Is it a brotherly duel? Tisk, the Uchiha clan is a famous genius and a famous scrap wood, and they are still brothers. Now that's interesting. Quote, what does that mean? Uchiha Itachi shot. There won't be any suspense at all, that guy is too strong. The 3 generations of old men who were far away in the Hokage's office saw this scene through the crystal ball. Immediately laughed, is it these 2 little ghosts who drew together? While everyone was talking, Uchiha Itachi had already stood on the field. Uchiha Itachi pointed to his chest, formed a seal of opposites, and smiled. Nissan, we haven't played each other in a long time. You're going to have to do it. Uchiha Ryu also pointed to his chest. Aududo, you have to understand that your eldest brother will always be your eldest brother. Uchiha Itachi wiped his nose and reminded in a loud voice. HMPH, Nissan, I'm going to go. His words fell, and immediately 6 kunai flew in. Blazing fast. Moreover, the angle is extremely tricky. Almost all dodge paths have been blocked. Murakami Ichiro sighed secretly. At a young age, there is such a pure shuriken technique, it is really not simple. He had chakras attached to his feet and was ready to save people. Who knows, in the face of such a sharp attack, the Uchiha Ryu just smiled slightly. Suddenly raised his hand, and the same 6 kunai were thrown out. Ding ding ding. A burst of sparks flickered, and in 2 directions, a total of 8 kunai, collided with each other with precision. Moreover, 2 of the Uchiha streams were also driven by this impact. Delicately deflected in the air. Shoot down the other 2 kunai of the Uchiha Itachi. Exclamation mark. In other words, the Uchiha Ryu only used 4 kunai to break the 6 Uchiha Itachi with extreme accuracy. And himself, there are still 2 kunai left. Continue to maintain a terrifying speed and fly towards the Uchiha Itachi. Nani? Uchiha Itachi's pupils shrank suddenly. Obviously, I didn't expect my brother to have this kind of means. In a hurry, I hurriedly rolled on the spot and avoided it dangerously. But the body is obviously a little embarrassed. Ding. Uchiha Itachi has a strong shock, emotion, reward, double hook jade riding wheel eye. Ding. Uchiha Itachi has a strong shock, emotion, reward, double hook jade riding wheel eye. Feel the pupil power in your eyes. Uchiha Ryu's heart is in ecstasy. The pride of the Uchiha clan, Sharingan. It's finally on. Brother, you're such a good leak. The Uchiha didn't reveal the Sharingan. But this moment, there was still silence. Ichiro Murakami rubbed his eyes and looked at the Uchiha stream with some incredulity. Is this still that waste student? This kind of shuriken is simply amazing. I don't know how much better it is than a teacher like him. The ape flying sun, who watched the live broadcast from a distance, was equally shocked. This Uchiha flow, something. Ding. Ichiro Muramura has a strong, shocked, emotion, reward, common sense of a mid-ninja. Ding. Ape flying sun / has a strong, appreciation, emotion, reward, tile shuriken technique. Soon, Uchiha Itachi regained his form. Looking directly at the Uchiha Ryu, a solemn look flashed in his eyes. I can't believe you're so strong, Nissan. But I'm not going to throw in the towel easily. Ding. Uchiha Itachi has a strong desire to win, emotion, reward, riding wheel eye illusion. Facing his younger brother who wanted to attack, Uchiha Ryu just smiled slightly. Beckoned to him. Uchiha Itachi took a deep breath and quickly sealed his hands. Nissan, be careful. Fire escape. How fireball technique. His cheeks bulged exaggeratedly. The next moment, a large orange-red fireball erupted violently from the mouth of the Uchiha Itachi. A group of students watching the battle can feel the scorching wave of air from afar. At such a young age, he can cast such a level of heroic fireball, which is worthy of the name of genius. Quote. In front of the crystal ball, Ape Fairy slashed his cigarette fiercely. This time, Uchiha stream, how will you deal with it? Do you also attack with the fireball technique? Soon, he saw the answer to the Uchiha stream. Water escape, water array wall. A massive amount of azure water appears out of thin air. In front of Uchiha Ryu, a tall wall of water was formed. Blocked that menacing fireball from the outside. This technique, the third Hokage opened his mouth wide. His eyes were full of astonishment. The Uchiha clan, who were famous for their fire escape, actually performed the water escape. How to look at this scene and how to violate the. Moreover, such a huge stream of water was created out of thin air in this waterless land. This little ghost's chakra and water escape attainments are quite amazing. Ding. Ape flying sun / has a strong, shock, emotion, reward, shuriken shadow clone technique. Rely on. In the system space, there was also some shot between the thousand hands. Isn't this an old man's technique? You're an Uchiha, and you've escaped with water in a grand manner. Do you still want face? Don't you think this is particularly against the will of the ancestors? Ding. 1,000 hands have a strong, contempt, emotion, reward, water escape, wave ride. Seeing that his attack had missed again, Uchiha Itachi was also a little stunned. So powerful. Is this still my brother at the end of the crane? Nissan, you're ridiculously strong. It's my big brother. Next move. It's my trick. Fire escape, impatience claw red. As the words fell, Uchiha Itachi quickly took out more than a dozen shuriken from the ninja bag. Immediately afterward, more than a dozen fireballs spat out of his mouth. The combination of fireballs and shuriken is magical. Greatly powered, rushed towards the Uchiha stream together. Seeing this scene, the Uchiha Ryu smiled slightly. Looks like I need to be serious too. His hands were quickly sealed. Water escape, water dragon bullet technique. Boom. Countless streams of water burst out of thin air around the Uchiha stream. Then it suddenly went upwards and converged into a huge azure water dragon. Wrap the figure of the Uchiha stream in it. Every scale on the body of the water dragon is extremely clear and lifelike. If you look closely, it's actually a small water blade. This is the embodiment of the change in the form and nature of the water attribute to the extreme. The Uchiha Itachi's impatience claws hit this water dragon red, and it didn't hurt at all. Not even the slightest bit of destruction was formed. On the contrary, it seems to stimulate the ferocity of the water dragon. The water dragon roared wildly, as if standing up to the sky, looking down on the Uchiha Itachi condescendingly. It's like a god watching mortals. This technique, this chakra volume. The three Hokages stood up suddenly. He stared at the young figure wrapped in a water dragon. In the cloudy old eyes, another figure seemed to emerge. Second generation sensei. Like, so like. Ding. Ape flying sun slash produces a strong, gaff, emotion, reward, fire attribute chakra nature change. Holy. In the system space, 1,000 hands almost broke through the limitations of the system and jumped up directly. Why is it the old man's technique again? And it's an improved version of the old man. Shameless. Shameless. Uchiha's evil imp, this is shameless plagiarism. Ding. 1,000 hands have a strong, anger, emotion, reward, water escape, sky cry. Compared to these, outsiders, Uchiha Itachi, who faced the water dragon, was obviously more emotional. His body trembled, and he stared in disbelief at the huge water dragon in front of him, which was like a miracle. I can't even raise any resistance in my heart. How? Maybe. Ding. Uchiha Itachi has a strong, shock, emotion, reward, magic flail technique. Looking at his younger brother who was scared silly, the corners of Uchiha Ryu's mouth rose slightly. A teleportation technique, disappearing in place. When he reappeared, he was already in front of Itachi Uchiha. Before he could react, his fingers were already poked in his forehead. My cute Aududo, I still have to practice. Uchiha Itachi looked up at his eldest brother, and muttered. Nissan, why do you practice such a powerful water escape technique? Isn't our Uchiha's signature fire escape technique? The Uchiha Ryu reached out with a large hand and pressed it on the Uchiha Itachi's little head. Said proudly, although the fire escape is the signature of the Uchiha clan. Quote. But, the water escape technique is the signature of the second Hokage-sama. My lord, but I admire it so much. Moreover, according to legend, the current third generation Hokage-sama is even more proficient in the techniques of the 5 attributes. They are all role models for us to learn from she. Ding. Ape flying sun slash produces a strong, appreciation, emotion, reward, fire attribute chakra form change. Ding. 1,000 hands generate strong, anger, emotions, reward, talent forbidden master. Ding. Ape flying sun slash produces a strong, appreciation, emotion, reward, fire attribute chakra form change. Ding. 1,000 hands generate strong, anger, emotions, reward, talent forbidden master. Talent. Master of forbidden arts. You have a unique understanding of chakra and techniques that far surpasses ordinary people, and you have the super potential to create and transform techniques freely. Apparently, in the face of Uchiha Stream's bold words, the reactions of the second generation of masters and apprentices can be described as diametrically opposed. 3 generations of old men are so happy that they can't keep their mouths together. I secretly said in my heart, check it out, how high is this child's consciousness? The people I admire the most, is it actually the teacher and the old man? Sure enough, this kid is completely different from those Uchiha people who are empty-eyed. Is the true inheritor of the will of fire. In the future, it will definitely be an excellent chess piece. And the second generation old ghost in the system space was almost mad. If not to preserve that last bit of grace. He really wanted to yell. Naturally evil Uchiha clan imps. UTM worship old man. You adore NMLGB, ah. And Uchiha, worship me with 1,000 hands, who the believes it when you say it. Moreover, you worship me and make Lao Su kneel in this. Is this what people do? The most unbearable thing for 1,000 hands is his own big brother, the man known as the god of ninjas. And he said to him at this time, do you see it? This kid originally admired you very much. If it weren't for the fact that you spoke disrespectfully and discriminated against the Uchiha clan for no reason, he would never have done this to you. A mouthful of old blood almost spurted out between the thousands of hands. He looked at his eldest brother in despair. I'd love to split the head of this thing and see what's inside. My big brother, can't you see it? This little ghost is acting. Moreover, the acting is so clumsy. Ding. 1,000 hands generate a strong, anger, emotion, reward, forbidden technique, multiplication detonation charm. 1,000 hands were furious. Evil Uchiha clan imp. Has it already begun to affect the relationship between our brothers? Big brother, look at it. It won't take long for you to understand. This little ghost is a complete sinister villain. But it doesn't matter if you understand it or not. After all, he was already a dead man. Quote. The important thing is, monkey guy, don't be fooled by this little ghost. Outside, listening to his eldest brother's generous statement, Uchiha Itachi nodded as if he didn't understand. Then he asked, but big brother, since your strength is so powerful, why don't you usually show it at all? He was still conservative in his question. In the past, the Uchiha stream was more than not showing strength. It's exactly the tail of the crane. Shame on the wealthy Uchiha. Uchiha Ryu's big hand was still resting on Uchiha Itachi's head. At this point, he smiled and rubbed his shredded hair. Itachi, you have to remember. Quote, as ninjas in Konoha, we work hard to cultivate, and we never want to show anyone in normal times. Quote, it's about having the ability to protect your companions and protect the village at a critical moment. Quote, even at the cost of his own life. In the end, it was already very serious. After hearing these words, Uchiha Itachi suddenly realized. Looking at the Uchiha stream's eyes, they are also full of respect. My eldest brother, in my heart, has such a great consciousness. Exclamation mark. At this moment, the afternoon sun shone on the body of Uchiha Ryu. Let his figure look so dazzling. Even, it's a great chore. In the young mind of Uchiha Itachi, a deep shock was left. Ding. Uchiha Itachi has a strong emotion of respect, reward, magic flail technique. And the 3 generations of old men who are far away in the Hokage's office. Seeing this scene through the crystal ball and hearing these words, I couldn't help but feel relieved. Although, Uchiha Ryu did not mention the will of fire. However, in the eyes of Ape Fairy / every word of this child is to implement the will of fire. Exclamation mark. 3 generations of old men couldn't help but think. This Uchiha stream's ideological consciousness is only afraid that it is even higher than the Uchiha mirror back then. Moreover, he also inherited the water escape talent of Mr. Kazuma. In the future, we must focus on training. Ding. Ape Flying Sun / has a strong appreciation, emotion, reward, earth escape, earth flow wall. Acting. What a act. Despicable and sinister evil imps of the Uchiha clan. The old man is looking at you like this, I want to see when you will show your feet. In the system space, Thousand Hands was already so angry that he couldn't speak. I just complained in my heart. He knows. This time, his stupid big brother is afraid that he will completely fall to the other party. After the afternoon practical exams, the 2 brothers walked home together. The Uchiha Ryu was in a good mood, and the Uchiha Itachi was a little sullen along the way. Uchiha Ryu asked with a smile. What's the matter, 1/7, still dwelling on what you lost to me? Of course not. Uchiha Itachi shook his head with a wry smile. Nissan, what you said this afternoon struck me. Quote, now I want to know what you think about the conflict between the clan and the village. Uchiha Ryu shook his head and said solemnly, Audiobook, you're too young now. Quote, that's not what you should be thinking about right now. Quote, brother, I'll definitely settle this matter properly. Quote, the 3 generations of Hokage, who secretly observed with a crystal ball, had their old faces full of approval. Sure enough, the old man didn't misunderstand this child. There is potential, there is responsibility, purity of thought, good control. Ding. Ape Flying Sun / produces a strong appreciation, emotion, reward, earth escape, the art of decapitation in the heart. And among the 1,000-handed pillars in the system space, he suddenly spoke. A genius boy of the Uchiha clan. Quote, are you in any trouble? Or is there any trouble with the Uchiha clan right now? You can say it, and the old man will give you some advice. Quote, maybe I don't have enough intelligence, but my brother is quite smart. Quote, however, in the face of the overtures of the big pillars, Uchiha Ryu just replied with a painful face. First Hokage-sama, are you alright? Let your brother, an evil 1,000-armed old ghost, give advice to my Uchiha clan. Is it for him to teach me how to lead the Uchiha clan to extinction? 1,000 Hands Pillar was stunned for a moment. He turned his head to look at his younger brother with a gloomy face. Then scratched his head, it seems. Kind of makes sense. Quote, ding. There is a strong excitement, between the 1,000-hand pillars, reward, mu dun, mu doppelganger. Uchiha rumors. My eyes suddenly lit up. What a big pillar. It's easy not to explode gold coins, but it's a great thing to pop. Wooden clone. This is almost the most powerful doppelganger technique in the ninja world. Stronger than the shadow clone. What's more, through this technique, the Uchiha flow is equivalent to directly unlocking the would escape blood inheritance limit. At the same time, it has 2 legendary blood inheritance limits. It's hard to think about it if it's not strong. At this time, the 1,000 hands have calmed down again. He had now made up his mind not to talk more. He wants to see what the hell this evil Uchiha is up to. At this time, the Uchiha streamed to a new system prompt. Ding. Detected that the host is located in the Uchiha clan station. Do you want to check in? New sign in. The corners of Uchiha Ryu's mouth rose slightly. This time, it should be. Quote. Thinking of this, he suddenly said into the system space. To Hokage-sama, it seems that you will not be lonely soon. Quote. Your old friend is here. Quote. What do you mean? The 1,000-hand brothers were stunned at the same time. The Uchiha Ryu didn't answer, but just said to the system, sign in. Ding. The host has successfully signed into the Uchiha clan residence, and unlocked Madara Uchiha Undead, Uchiha Izuna Undead. System space. 2 new soul bodies have appeared. Nani. Senjukuma's eyes widened. The joy is beyond words. Ding. There is a strong excitement between the 1,000-hand pillars. Reward, Mu Dun Tree Realm is born. The pupils between the 1,000 hands shrank slightly. Are you Izumi? Does this Uchiha imp even have to play with the spirits of his ancestors? The 2 Uchiha brothers slowly opened their eyes. Izuna's eyes were full of confusion. Madara Uchiha muttered, it doesn't seem like it's coming soon. Quote. Nagato, that little ghost, has grown to this point. No, it's not. Hey, Hasi's hot mom. Why are you here? Ding. Madara Uchiha has a strong, excited, emotion, reward, fire escape, heroic fire extinguished. Motor. Hasi hot mom. The 2 people who once had a deep bond looked at each other and roared. The base situation is almost overflowing the system space. It's really noisy. Every time. 1,000 hands frowned. Izuna Uchiha felt the same way, but asked with some schadenfreude. Why are you kneeling on the ground between 1,000 hands? Also, who summoned us here? It's me, Senpai. The figure of the Uchiha Ryu reappeared in the system space. Izuna Uchiha's eyes narrowed slightly. Who are you? Yes. The Uchiha nodded slightly. Introduce yourself. The son of the patriarch of the contemporary Uchiha clan, Uchiha Ryu. Quote. As for why the 2 ancestors were summoned. Quote. How can you say it? Quote. I want the ancestors to witness with their own eyes, how the Uchiha stood at the top of the ninja world. Imp. Madara Uchiha squinted at him, his face disdainful. Is it up to you? The Uchiha shrugged. Hee, then you'll just have to wait and see. Quote. You guys have nothing to do to communicate and exchange feelings, I still have something to do, so I'm leaving. Quote. As he spoke, he exited the system space. HMPH, stinking imp. Madara Uchiha snorted. Soon, the 4 people, who were intertwined with various grievances and hatreds, began to communicate. In the mouth of the 1,000 Hands brothers, the Uchiha brothers learned about the Uchiha stream's identity, personality, and so on. Madara Uchiha was a little dismissive of this. He didn't care about the Uchiha anymore. What's more, he has already selected a successor and set a big plan. The future of the ninja world must be in the hands of his Madara Uchiha. Of course, this cannot be said to anyone else for the time being. Izuna Uchiha is quite optimistic about Uchiha Ryu. He died in the Warring States period, when various ethnic groups were strife. For the glory of the Uchiha clan, it is quite important. Izuna feels that Uchiha Ryu, a junior of the same clan, has talent, means, and the glory of the clan in his heart. In the future, there may be a real chance to lead the Uchiha clan to glory. Ding. Uchiha Izuna has a strong appreciation, emotion, reward, riding wheel eye illusion Uchiha Izuna version. Soon, the 2 brothers, Uchiha Ryu and Uchiha Itachi, stepped into the residence of the Uchiha clan. 3 generations of old men who are far away in the Hokage's office. I put away the crystal ball very unhappily. There is no way. The Uchiha clan station has an enchantment guard, which can completely block his telescope technique. Therefore, everything that happened within the Uchiha clan, it was difficult for him to know. This is very detrimental to his rule. It's time to plant a spy on the Uchiha. Quote. The 3 generations of old men took a deep breath of cigarette and said secretly. Uchiha stream. It should be a good chess piece. Father, mother, Nisanta. Quote. Before the Uchiha Itachi entered the house, he screamed excitedly. He wants to share the good news that his eldest brother is not a waste of wood with his parents. However, as soon as he stepped into the house, I saw Uchiha Fugaku with a straight face, and his expression was very serious. His majestic gaze stared straight at the door, and he looked at the eldest son, Uchiha Ryu, who had just stepped into the house. As the contemporary Uchiha patriarch and the captain of the garrison, Fuyu can be described as a high-ranking power, and he naturally has a lot of eyeliner under him. He already knew everything about what had happened at school this afternoon. After a while, Uchiha Fugaku waved his hand and said in a deep voice. Itachi, you go and rest first. Quote, I have something to say to your brother. Quote, oh, Uchiha Itachi was intimidated by his father's majesty and did not dare to refute. Bow your head and prepare to leave. The Uchiha Ryu waved his hand, no need. Quote, Itachi, you've grown up too. Quote, there are some things that you can know. Quote, Uchiha Fugaku frowned, but after all, he didn't object. He just glared at the Uchiha stream and said in a deep voice. As your father, I'm glad to see your talent and your calmness of being clumsy. Quote, but, why waste your talent on the water escape technique? Why do you want to idolize that man and say it in public? Where do you place the glory of your people? Quote, don't you know that the 1,000 hands are the source of the targeting of my Uchiha clan? In your mind, the village is completely above the clan. Ding. Uchiha Fugaku has a strong, angry, emotion, reward, fire escape, dragon fire technique. In fact, Uchiha Fugaku is not the kind of extreme, Uchiha fighter. From the bottom of his heart, he is very willing to live in harmony with Konoha as a clan. It's just that the ability is insufficient. Plus, now he's the Uchiha patriarch. But his own son made such remarks in public, and if he didn't have a little attitude, he wouldn't be able to explain to other people. In the face of his father's questioning, the Uchiha Ryu was still calm. Father, quote, I know what you're thinking, and I know what your people think. Quote, believe me, everything I do is justified. Quote, the ultimate goal is to drive those stupid mobs out of power and make my Uchiha clan great again. Uchiha Fugaku's pupils shrank suddenly. Today, he seems to have reacquainted himself with his eldest son. It turns out that this child has always had such a great ambition in his heart. Moreover, unlike those people who have eyes above the top and only know how to resort to force, this kid has quite a brain. A strange look flashed in Uchiha Fugaku's eyes. After a while, his lips moved slightly. It's worthy of my son. Ding. Uchiha Fugaku has a strong appreciation, emotion, reward, 3 hooks jade riding wheel eye. Uchiha Ryu smiled. This matter can only be known to the 3 of us, father and son. Quote, my father still has to act like he is not in harmony with me in front of people. Quote, I understand. Uchiha Fugaku nodded, stepped forward and patted Uchiha Ryu on the shoulder. Do whatever you want, father, always proud of you. Then a teleportation technique disappeared in place. After Fugaku left, Uchiha Itachi, who had not spoken, took a deep look at his eldest brother. Ding. Uchiha Itachi has a strong shock, emotion, reward, crow clone technique. At this time, the weasel, who was still young, never thought of it. This brother in front of me, an hour ago, was still talking to himself about the will of fire. In fact, at heart, he is also an extreme familialist. The previous ones, are they all lies? This brother in front of me, an hour ago, was still talking to himself about the will of fire. In fact, at heart, he is also an extreme familialist. The previous ones, are they all lies? Nissan, what you just told your father is true. The Uchiha sat down casually on the steps. This is just the right time to look at his brother. Smile explained, not really. Quote, although my father is the head of a family, he is still narrow-minded. Quote, his perspective is always limited to one clan, and at most rises to the level of the village. Quote, Uchiha Itachi's heart shook. Nissan, what about you? The Uchiha's eyes were deep, and his arms were slightly open. What I want is to stand on the highest place and create true peace in the ninja world. True peace in the ninja world. Uchiha Itachi's heart was completely shaken. Having witnessed the brutality of war at the age of 4, he wanted peace more than anyone else. The idea is certainly beautiful. But the truth is cruel. In fact, even the Uchiha clan and the Konoha high level are far from being peaceful. Not to mention the peaceful, of the ninja world. You know, this is something that even the ninja god didn't do back then. And his eldest brother, does he have such great ambitions? At this moment, a strong emotion rushed straight to Uchiha Itachi's brain. The next moment, his eyes suddenly turned scarlet. 2 black magatama slowly emerged. Uchiha Itachi actually opened his eyes at this time. Ding! Uchiha Itachi has a strong, excited, emotion, reward, illusion moon reading one time. The corners of Uchiha Ryu's mouth twitched slightly. Is this a genius hanging on the wall? Is this an eye-opener? And, I can only do it once for the time being, but that's great. Uchiha Itachi was also very intoxicated by this sudden awakening power, and said as if offering a treasure. Nissan, look, my eyes opened. In the future, I will definitely be able to help you. This guy hasn't been brainwashed by the group of old silver coins at the top of Konoha at this time. Still simply like a blank sheet of paper. Uchiha Ryu was only a little bewitched, and he was already full of energy. Not, though, the Uchiha Ryu was ready to stimulate him a little more. In the next moment, his eyes suddenly turned blood red, and he was already a 3-hook jade riding wheel. My stupid Ududo, how far can your riding wheel eyes see? I still need to keep going. As he spoke, he stretched out his fingers again and lightly tapped them on Itachi's forehead. Uchiha Itachi's pupils shrank suddenly, and he was shocked. Have you already opened the 3-hook jade riding wheel? It's my big brother. Ding! Uchiha Itachi has a strong, worship, emotion, reward, magic mirror heaven and earth turn. And at this time in the system space, the 4 undead have witnessed what had happened before. Everyone had different thoughts. Thousands of hands glared at his eldest brother, and said in a deep voice. Big brother, do you see? This little imp is completely a deep evil person. In his heart, he only has the ridiculous pride of the Uchiha clan, and he doesn't have the will of fire at all. Hearing this, the 1,000 hands pillar frowned and was silent. Right now, the figure of the Uchiha Ryu reappeared in the system space. Sneered. The evil 1,000-armed old ghost is playing with right and wrong again. You know the will of fire again. The will of fire is supposed to be the program that will lead all Konoha ninjas forward. And in your hands, especially in the hands of your few waste disciples, it has become a sharp weapon to attack political opponents. Not only for my Uchiha clan, but also for other ninjas. As long as they want, they can use these 4 words at any time to put a big hat on others and force people to death. You're talking nonsense. Senju was furious. It's impossible. Ding. Thousands of hands produce strong anger, emotions, reward, water escape, big explosion of water rushing waves. Hee, don't you believe it? The corners of Uchiha Ryu's mouth rose slightly. 1,000-armed old ghost, keep your eyes open and take a good look. Quote. Trust me, it won't be long before you'll be able to see for yourself what I'm saying. Quote. As he spoke, his figure dissipated like a bubble again. At the same time, I have a deeper calculation in my heart. Today's 1,000-handed brothers have burst out a lot of gold coins. But at the same time, their emotional resistance has also increased a lot. Especially between the 1,000 hands pillar, this guy's nerves are a little big, and his mood is quite stable. So far, the number of triggers has been very small. If you want to stimulate them again, you have to put some fierce medicine. The best way to deal with these 2 is, of course, to do something. Tsunade. However, the princess of the 1,000 hands had already left the village and wandered the world, and it was not easy to find it. What's more, with Uchiha Ryu's current identity, he can't easily leave the village. Therefore, this great plan had to be postponed for a while. If you settle for the next best thing, the best thing to do at the moment is hit into the upper layers of Konoha and the dark part, preferably the root. Access to the core secrets, the core darkness. Let the Thousand Hands brothers take a good look at what good things their successors have done over the years. I believe that it will definitely stimulate the two brothers to go crazy. At that time, the gold coins will not burst out in a steady stream. And Uchiha Ryu also remembers very clearly. It won't take long to. Yun Shinobi's peace representatives will come to Konoha. After that, Hinata was kidnapped, and the Konoha executives chose to compromise. Tisk. At that time, the Uchiha Ryu gave this meeting to the Thousand Hands brothers, live. I don't know if these two people will be so angry that they will lift their coffin boards. Think of these. The corners of Uchiha Ryu's mouth couldn't help but rise slightly. Ultimately, he has a clear understanding of the ninja world and himself. Therefore, he must do everything he can to use the system to strengthen himself. In the ninja world, this transcendent world where the power of oneself is attributed, the only thing worth trusting is always your own strength. Even if it's his younger brother Uchiha Itachi, Uchiha Ryu only corrects it occasionally. Try not to let it go astray as much as possible. But I never pinned much hope on him. The Uchiha sat on the steps, rubbing his chin with his hands. I secretly said in my heart, if you want to improve your strength quickly, you still have to join the darker route as soon as possible. Quote, I've already performed with the will of fire today. Quote, still, it doesn't seem like that's enough. Quote, the two old foxes of Sarutobi and Shimura Danzo are still very calm. Quote, gotta think of something. Stimulate them a little more. Quote, as he was thinking like this, Uchiha Itachi suddenly tugged at his sleeve. Nissan, let's go and cultivate together. I also want to improve my strength quickly, so that I can help you in the future. The Uchiha Ryu snapped back to his senses. That's right. Practice. That's a good idea. In the process of cultivation, I once again showed my potential, and I was not afraid that those two old foxes would not take the bait. Think of it this way. An extremely bold plan suddenly rose in the heart of the Uchiha stream. Think of it this way. An extremely bold plan suddenly rose in the heart of the Uchiha stream. Soon, the two brothers arrived at the 7th training ground. The two first practiced physical skills. Soon, Uchiha Itachi was shocked to discover. My eldest brother even has quite a lot of swordsmanship. You can beat yourself almost with one hand. After that, the two practiced fire escape and water escape techniques respectively. Sure enough, it didn't take long. The Uchiha Ryu resensed the fluctuations of the telescope technique. Looks like the old man is still paying attention to me. Quote, the corners of Uchiha's mouth rose slightly. After frantically unleashing several large water escape spells, the Uchiha Ryu's figure shook and fell backwards. Nissan. Uchiha Itachi was shocked. What's wrong with you? Ding. Uchiha Itachi has a strong, excited, emotion, reward, clone explosion. Ha. Ape Fei-ri, who was secretly stealing losses, smiled. Is chakra overused? A little ghost is a little ghost after all. However, at such an age, he can release multiple large-scale water escape techniques in a row. Quote, this amount of chakra is already amazing. Quote, what Uchiha stream doesn't know is, except for 3 generations of old men peeping in the dark. In the forest not far from the 7th training ground, there was also an old ghost covered in bandages, who was also secretly observing. Looking at the Uchiha Ryu who had fainted, Shimura Danzo sneered and shook his head. An Uchiha, who actually majored in the water escape technique, has an obvious shadow of the teacher of the sword technique. Quote, what a freak. Quote, it's a pity, although I have some talent, I don't seem to have awakened the writing wheel eye, and it's useless after all. Quote, this guy has been working with Orochimaru for many years. For Mudun and writing wheel eyes, he has been obsessed with the devil's state. However, just as Shimura was about to turn around and leave, the men behind him suddenly stopped him. Look at, sir. There was shock in his voice. What's the matter? Tuan Zhang frowned and scolded. But he still turned his attention back to the Uchiha stream. Then, his eyes widened. The body trembled subconsciously. What did he see? The little ghost who fainted began to grow branches around his body. Wood. Done. Shimura Danzo's old voice was full of trills. How is this possible? Ding. Shimura Danzo has a strong, unbelievable, emotion, reward, forbidden jutsu, Izanagi. Sarutobi, who was far away in the Hokage's office, also stood up suddenly. Ding. Ape Flying Sun / produces a strong, unbelievable, emotion, reward, sealing technique, 5 elements seal. System space. The 4 undead are equally shocking. It's the old man's wooden escape. Senjuju rubbed his eyes, a little unconvinced. He couldn't help but start reflecting on. Is it that when I was young, I had a one night with a girl from the Uchiha clan? After all, a pure-blooded Uchiha clan has awakened the done. This is also so abnormal. Ding. There is a strong, unbelievable, emotion between the 1,000-hand pillars, reward, done, the art of ranking rank. The face of the 1,000 hands was distorted, and he almost jumped up from the ground on the spot. He didn't care at all now about how the Uchiha Ryu's would escape came about. What he was thinking about now was, ! You're an evil Uchiha. The left hand is water, and the right hand is wooden. Are you still human? Don't you feel like disobeying your ancestors? Ding. 1,000 hands generate strong, anger, emotions, reward, soul imprisoning technique. Of course, there is much more to it than that. How rebellious his eldest brother's done technique is, he knows better than anyone else. This evil imp of the Uchiha family is clearly an extremely deep-minded careerist. I have awakened the writing wheel a long time ago, and now I even have the done. After that day, Konoha is even within the ninja world. Who else can stop his plots? Come to think of it, the heart between the 1,000 hands couldn't help but sink. Ding. Thousands of hands have a strong, worry, emotion, reward, flying thunder god's technique one time. Everyone who saw this scene, all in a state of disbelief. But no one knows, all of this is actually just a plan of the Uchiha stream. His chakra did not dry up at all. His fainting was just a disguise. As for those vines, he also deliberately released them secretly. It is to pretend to be an unconscious awakening wooden escape, and show it to others. He knew very well what a shock this scene would have on everyone. Not only can you reap a wave of rewards, it can definitely attract the attention of 3 generations of old men. As for the Shimura Danzo, this was indeed unexpected by the Uchiha stream. It's an unexpected surprise. Sure enough, a moment later, several wind-breaking sounds came. Shimura Danzo, with 2 of his men instantly to the side of Uchiha Ryu. You are looking at the sudden uninvited guest. Uchiha Itachi's face was full of vigilance. Shimura squeezed out a smile. Try to be kind. Don't be afraid, little ghost. The old man is Konoha's Hokage's assistant, Shimura Danzo. Quote. Your eldest brother, he's just overused chakra. Quote. You feed him a ration pill. Quote. 1,000 hands. I'll go. This is the of Tuanzang. Why don't good people do it, but become monsters? I see. Quote. Uchiha Itachi nodded, and hurriedly fed a soldier food pill. Soon, the Uchiha Ryu woke up and looked around a little confused. The acting skills can be described as perfect. Nissan, you're awake. Uchiha Itachi was overjoyed. Uchiha Ryu nodded, looking at Tuanzang and the others with some confusion. These people are. Nissan, this is Konoha's Hokage-sama Danzo. Quote. He just instructed me to wake you up. Quote. I see. The Uchiha nodded. With a sincere face full of thanks, he said, Thank you, sir. Quote. You're welcome. Shimura waved his hand. He stared at the Uchiha stream with burning eyes, and the more he looked at it, the more satisfied he felt. This is a wooden escape. Moreover, it is not a defective wood that has awakened through cell transplantation. In the future, it will definitely be much stronger than that, What's more, this little imp himself is still from the Uchiha clan. In the future, there will be a high probability of awakening the writing wheel. How can such a good knife not be held in your own hands? At the same time, he has a wooden escape and a writing wheel. What kind of combat power will it be in the future? At that time, who else will be able to stop himself from ascending to the position of Hokage? When I think of this, Tuanzang has a sense of excitement trembling all over. Uchiha Ryu, now that you know the identity of the old man. Quote, then are you willing to follow the old man, join the root organization, and work for Konoha? Chapter 11. Uchiha Ryu, now that you know the identity of the old man. Quote, then are you willing to follow the old man, join the root organization, and work for Konoha? And the ape flying in the Hokage's office. As early as the moment the hiding figure of the Shimura group was shown in the crystal ball, he rushed to the training ground in a hurry. He thought with his ass, I all know what the hell Shimura Danzang is fighting. However, the Uchiha flow inherited the wood escape of the first Hokage-sama, and the water escape of the second Hokage-sama. My heart is still full of the will of fire. Such a good seedling. How could he be in the hands of Tuanzang? Root organization. The Uchiha looked puzzled. It's as if you've never heard of the name. Yes, Shimura nodded. Pretending to be very proud, he seduced. In the dark, protect the roots of Konoha in the sun. You must also know the situation of the Uchiha clan now. Quote, although you are a good seedling, it is impossible to become a Hokage in the future. Quote, joining the root organization is the best way for you. So, the Uchiha Ryu nodded, as if a little lost. But soon, he raised his head again and said solemnly, Danzo-sama is a good person. Quote, I'm willing to add. At this moment, a fiery sound suddenly came. Wait. Wearing the Hokage's robe, the ape flying to the ground in the sun. Because he was in a hurry and hurried with all his might, he seemed a little out of breath. Shimura Danzo's brows tightened, and he secretly said something bad in his heart. How could the monkeys come? Ape Fei first glared at Tuanzang fiercely. Turning his head and showing a kind smile again, he said to Uchiha Ryu. Don't listen to that guys. Quote, Uchiha Ryu, how about the old man put you into the shadows and train you personally? Don't you admire the Hokage the most? As he spoke, he looked at the Uchiha Ryu with a look of hope. Feed the monkeys. Looking at this blatant act of snatching people, Shimura Danzo's face turned dark. It's clear that the old man found this child first. Quote, what do you mean by that? Humph, Ape Fei's son snorted coldly. What did you find out first? The old man has been paying attention to this child for a long time. Quote, I know that his heart is full of the will to fire. I had planned to train him myself for a long time. Shimura Danzo's face was full of disdain. He really wanted to yell. UTM, this can play the ape flying son. It's been a bit of a long time since. It's been your sister for a long time. It's clear that he has fallen in love with this little ghost's Mudun and wants to rob people. It's such a high-sounding statement. Can you be a little more shameless? Seeing that Ape Fei was silent, Tuanzang hurriedly continued. It's all about contributing to Konoha anyway. What's wrong with letting him join the roots? Well, let's not argue either. Quote, is it to join the shadows, or to the roots? Quote, everything is according to the child's own wishes. Ape Fei frowned. He didn't want to agree to the plan. But when I think about it, I'm the Hokage. Isn't the personality charm much stronger than that of Tuanzang? Uchiha Ryu will definitely make the right choice. Thinking of this, he acquiesced. Shimura Danzo looked at Uchiha Ryu with burning eyes, and continued to induce. Uchiha Ryu, you say, where do you want to join? Don't forget, the old man is your savior. Uchiha Ryu hesitated for a moment and opened his mouth to say. Since he was destined not to be the Hokage. Quote, then, I'm willing to stay incognito and protect Konoha in secret for the rest of my life. Quote, I'm willing to join the roots of Danzo-sama. Quote, ding, Shimura Tunzo has a strong, excited, emotion, reward, the seal of self-karma spell bondage. Ding, ape flying sun / produces a strong, unbelievable, emotion, reward, 5 elements unsealed. Good, Shimura smirked. The gesture is to pull the Uchiha Ryu away. Ape Fei/Ri's face was extremely dark. After all, he still underestimated Tuanzang's brainwashing level. It's only been a few minutes. Has already brainwashed this Uchiha flow into this. But the more this happens, the less likely it is for him to hand over the Uchiha Ryu to Danzo. Come to mind, Ape Fury shouted in a deep voice, slow down. Uchiha stream, you can't join the roots. You must join the shadows. Monkey, you. Shimura Danzo was furious. This is the child's own will. And you've just. However, the ape flying slash, who has always liked to compromise on weekdays. At this time, he suddenly became domineering. With a wave of his big hand, he shouted in a deep voice. The old man is still dictatorial today. Danzo, don't forget, the old man is the Hokage. Son slash. Shimura gritted his teeth in anger, but he was helpless. You'll regret it. After that, he flicked his sleeves and left with hatred. After Shimura Danzo left, Sarutobi completely transformed into a kind old grandfather. Smiled and patted Uchiha Ryu's shoulder. Little one, the old man has always been paying attention to you. Quote. And firmly believe that you are completely different from the other Uchiha. Quote. Sure enough, you didn't disappoint the old man. You are the true inheritor of the will of fire. 3 generations of adults have praised it. The Uchiha shook his head very modestly. Ape Fury waved his hand, completely let go and began to draw cakes. Kid, don't listen to Tuan Zhang's nonsense. Quote, the position of the Hokage has always been the one who is capable and virtuous, and all Konoha ninjas have a chance. Quote, the Uchiha clan is no exception. Quote, what's more, in your body, there is the inheritance of the 2 ancestors of Hokage-sama, Mu-dun and Shui-dun. So, you have a better chance than anyone else. As he spoke, he looked at the Uchiha Ryu with a look full of hope. The Uchiha Ryu is well versed in the self-cultivation of the actor, and nodded with tears in his eyes. In fact, I warmly greet the 18th generation of the ancestors of the old man Ape Fei. Ape flying old ghost, don't talk about martial arts. Empty mouth, deceive me as an ignorant teenager. Who doesn't know that the entire Konoha and the position of the Hokage have always been inherited by master and apprentice? Even if one day the master-apprentice inheritance is broken, whoever it is turn, it will never be the turn of the Uchiha clan. The reason why the old ghost of Ape Fei said this was just to give him hope. Let him die for it more faithfully. The hypocrisy and shamelessness of politicians are undoubtedly revealed. Ape Fei is obviously very confident in his means of buying people's hearts. With a wave of his hand, tomorrow morning, come to the Hokage's office to report. Quote, the old man will put you in the shadows and train you personally. The Uchiha Ryu shouted excitedly, yes. Hokage-sama. Seeing this, Ape Fury was very satisfied, and disappeared in an instant. Ding. Thousands of hands produce a strong, manic, emotion, reward, flying thunder god guiding thunder one time. In the system space, the 1,000 hands room was already on the verge of collapse. He watched with his own eyes as the 2 disciples he was most proud of in his life almost turned their faces on the spot in order to compete for an evil Uchiha imp. Especially the ape flying son. In the end, he actually promised to flow Uchiha to the direction of the Hokage to cultivate. Are you stupid? Forget all the old man's earnest teachings to you before his death. You want to pass the Hokage throne to the Uchiha. Moreover, you said that you have lived for so many years, and you have lived to dogs. Can't you see that this little ghost is actually a careerist with an extremely sinister heart? His so-called will to fire is all pretended. The magic is the big cake painted by the ape flying sun. Uchiha Ryu didn't eat a bite. And between the thousands of hands, there is no left. He really went to his heart. The big cake painted by the ape flying sun. Uchiha Ryu didn't eat a bite. And between the thousands of hands, there is no left. He really went to his heart. Suru, Uchiha Yusha laughed. Wicked 1,000-armed old ghost, you look manic. Quote, what's the matter, are you worried about the Uchiha ascending to the Hokage? HMPH. Although Senju did think so in his heart, he was unwilling to admit it in front of Uchiha Ryu because of his own identity. Sneered. The evil imp of the Uchiha family, you don't have to be proud. The old man has confidence in his disciples. The monkey is only temporarily deceived by you. Sooner or later, he will find out who you really are. There is also another disciple of the old man, Shimura Danzo, who is the best at controlling people's hearts. Quote, I'm sure he'll come to his senses soon. Quote, I'm going to be on guard against you. In the system space, the voice between the thousands of hands just fell. Outside, Shimura Danzo and 2 of his men have already gone and returned. Block the Uchiha stream again. Still staring at him with burning eyes. The Uchiha asked respectfully, Danzo-sama, is there anything else you can do? The corners of his mouth twitched slightly, and a sense of foreboding suddenly rose in his heart. Sure enough, the next second, Shimura Danzo said, Uchiha Itachi, you go home first, the old man has something to discuss with your brother. Quote, yes, sir. Uchiha Itachi nodded respectfully and walked away quickly. After he was far away, Shimura Danzo continued, Uchiha Ryu, the old man wants to ask you again, are you willing to follow the old man and join the roots? Ah, Uchiha Ryu said with some embarrassment. But 3 generations of Hokage-sama have. It's okay. Shimura Danzo waved his hand. As the saying goes, those who can work harder. Quote, among the wooden escapes, there is a technique called the technique of the wooden clone. Quote, it's a more advanced entity clone than the shadow clone, almost the same as the main body. The old man can teach you this technique. Quote, as long as you're willing to dedicate yourself to Konoha, you're fully capable of doing both. Shimura Danzo said as he reached out and took out a scroll from his ninja bag and handed it to Uchiha Ryu. Seeing that Uchiha Ryu still seemed to be a little hesitant, Danzang continued to bewitch. Not only this wooden clone, but also the old man's hands also have all the wooden escape techniques of the first generation of Lord Pillars. As long as you agree to follow the old man and join my roots, the old man will teach you everything little by little. Ding. 1,000 hands generate strong anger, emotions, reward, chakra perception 1,000 hands version. Danzo, you hopeless idiot. In the system space, the eyes between the thousands of hands are blood red. Eyes cracking. What did he see? The proud disciple, who was high hopes by him just now slapped him in the face in the blink of an eye. Exclamation mark. Sarutobi / the most promised future Hokage. But in fact, who can say for sure what will happen in the future? It's not certain if you can become it. What is this doing? Exclamation mark. I actually want to teach it to Uchiha Stream, my eldest brother's wooden escape technique. This is a real, capital enemy, behavior. Exclamation mark. Once this little ghost learns those powerful and sky-defying wood escape techniques. In this ninja world, who else can restrain him? 1,000 hands trembled. He couldn't bear to think about it anymore. But Senju is obviously a little excited. Shimura Danzo's Tiensho operation is far from over. I saw him continue. By the way, the old man remembers, you seem to be very good at water escape and knife skills. Quote, and in the knife technique, there are some shadows of the second generation adults. Quote, look at this. The Shimura group hid for a while they disappeared, and it was clear that they had made ample preparations. As he spoke, he took out a delicate sword hilt from the ninja bag. After injecting the chakra, a golden blade suddenly erupted from the hilt. Exclamation mark. In this slightly dark night, it looks so dazzling. It's Uchiha Ryu pretended to swallow, pretending not to know. Shimura Danzo keenly caught this little movement of his, and the corners of his mouth rose slightly. Said proudly, the weapon of the second Hokage-sama, the sword of Thor. Uchiha Ryu, whether you want to follow the old man or not. Quote, from now on, it's all yours. Only you, who have inherited the second generation of Hokage-sama's water escape and sword skills, are worthy of being its new master. As he spoke, he shoved it into Uchiha Ryu's hand. This, Danzo-sama. Uchiha Stream is once again possessed by the actor. His gaze scanned back and forth between Thor's sword and Shimura Danzo a few times. I was so excited that I burst into tears. It's rare that Danzo-sama values me so much, and the Uchiha Ryu will obey his orders from today onwards. Hee, a deeply hidden pride flashed in Tuan Zhang's eyes. Sure enough, the nirvana of the Uchiha clan is always sincere. The old man is just a little tricky, and he can make him grateful to the old man. In the future, I will subtly influence him, and I am worried that he will not die for me. Exclamation mark. By that time, the position of Hokage will not be within reach. Monkey, do you think you've won? Hehehehe. After laughing wildly in his heart, Shimura Danzo personally stuffed the scroll into the hands of the Uchiha Ryu. Solemnly explained. Strive to succeed in cultivating this technique as soon as possible, and report to my roots. Remember, you must not tell anyone about joining the roots. Even if it's 3 generations of Hokage. Subordinates understand, replied Uchiha respectfully. Danzo nodded in satisfaction. With 2 of his men, he disappeared in an instant. When the sole body of the Uchiha stream. In one hand, he holds the wood escape scroll, and in the other hand, he holds the sword of Thor. When it appears in the system space. Holy, the corners of his mouth twitched slightly. I feel like I'm not feeling good. The Uchiha grinned, tisk. 1,000-armed old ghost, I have to say, your vision for choosing apprentices is really quite clever. You 2 disciples, you really give you a long face. Was so squeezed between the thousands of hands, and his face was as black as the bottom of a pot. As soon as I thought of my Thor's sword, it would be used by the Uchiha evil imp in the future. He felt the urge to die. Ding, 1,000 hands produce a strong, anger, emotion, reward, 4 red yang array. As soon as I thought of my Thor's sword, it would be used by the Uchiha evil imp in the future. He had the urge to die. Ding, 1,000 hands produce a strong, anger, emotion, reward, 4 red yang array. Not only that, but Senjuma is also keenly aware of Konoha's current high-level structure. There must be a problem. The Hokage, the monkey, doesn't seem to have absolute authority. At least, Danzo, the Hokage's assistant, is definitely not the same heart as the monkey. Moreover, the power is ridiculously large. What happened to Konoha after his own death? The brows were tightly knit between the thousands of hands, and they couldn't figure it out. Izuna Uchiha, who has never dealt with 1,000 hands, also fell into the stone path at this time. Tut tut, what's the use of you targeting my Uchiha clan like this? Sooner or later, this village will have to come under the rule of my Uchiha clan. Shut up, Izuna, 1,000 hands growled in annoyance. This little imp won't succeed. Hee, said Izuna Uchiha, sneering. Actually, you know, quote, riding wheel I plus would escape, who can match in today's ninja world? Lies don't hurt. The truth is the quick knife. Uchiha Izuna's words directly silenced the other 3. The heart of 1,000 hands is full of worries about the future. Senju sat next to him with his arms folded, not knowing what he was thinking. And Madara Uchiha, who had been silent for a long time, his eyes flickered slightly, and a touch of worry also rose in his heart. There is such a variable, will the Eye of the Moon project. It's really tricky to write a wheel eye and add a wooden escape. Quote, can those 2 fools really handle Obito and Nagato? Ding, Madara Uchiha has a strong, worried, emotion, reward, fire escape, dragon flame singing technique. But in the end, Madara forcibly comforted himself. No problem. The Eye of the Immortal is invincible. That's right. After Shimura Danzo went away, one of his subordinates, Yamanaka Wind, couldn't help but ask. Lord Danzang, is it worth it for you to treat that little ghost like this? The mountain stroke can be regarded as following the group for many years. It was the first time he had seen his own adults treat others like this, and it was. It's almost flattery. It must be known that the authority of the root is very great, and the style of the group is also quite domineering. In the past, as long as I looked at a young man in the village, I always took it away. Throw people into root camp for a week. After coming out, make sure that the obedient is deadly. What do you know? Shimura scolded. That little ghost is the son of the Uchiha patriarch, and his identity is not ordinary. And, now the monkeys clearly think a lot of money about him. Quote, what's more important is the potential that the child has. It's something you can't imagine. One day you will understand how correct the old man's approach is today. Yes, being reprimanded like this, how dare Yamanaka refute it again, so he had to echo in a low voice. Shimura Danzu's eyes narrowed slightly, remembering the previous performance of Uchiha Ryu, and the corners of his mouth rose slightly. I secretly said in my heart, it's just a mindless little ghost. Quote, don't look at the old man who flatters you so much today. Quote, but as long as you get into my roots, you won't be able to escape at all. Be a lackey of the old man's men. It's worthy of being a unique perceptual secret technique between the 1,000 hands. I'm afraid it's comparable to the Kagura hard eye of the Uzumaki clan. The Uchiha Ryu immediately unleashed it after receiving the secret of perception between the 1,000 hands. The whole Konoha is almost under its control. After confirming that no one was following him, the Uchiha Ryu disappeared in place in an instant. Under the cover of night, I hurried in the direction of the Hokage's office. The corners of Uchiha Ryu's mouth rose slightly. Now he has the dual identities of the dark part and the root at the same time. There is a lot of room for maneuver. Ape Flying Sun, Shimura Group. The two old foxes saw him as a tool, thinking that they could play with him in the palm of their hand. Uchiha Ryu wanted to see. Who the hell is playing with whom? Boom. For the late night visit of the Uchiha stream, the 3 generations of Hokage were obviously a little surprised. He smiled and asked, "Stream, didn't you just tell you to report tomorrow? Why are you here at this time?" The Uchiha gave a pop salute and said solemnly, "Something just happened, and I think I have to report it to Hokage-sama right away." Quote. Oh, Ape Fury's eyes narrowed slightly, and even his pipe was placed on the table. What the hell is going on? Uchiha Ryu groaned for a moment and spoke. Just, Danzo-sama found me again. Quote. Nani? Ape Fury's pupils shrank suddenly. Ding. Ape Flying Sun / produces a strong shock, emotion, reward, when attribute chakra nature change. He didn't expect that Tuanzang would be so persevering. I found the Uchiha stream again. Ape Fury's eyes narrowed slightly, and he asked in a deep voice, What did you say? The Uchiha Ryu smiled, I didn't say anything else, but I still hope that I can join the roots. Quote. And also gave me a wooden escape scroll, as well as the Thor's sword of the second Hokage-sama. Quote. As he spoke, he took out everything and put it on the Hokage's desk. Ape Fei's face turned dark. Tuanzang, this old fool, is really generous. Thinking of this, he hurriedly asked, Then did you promise him? Yes, the Uchiha replied. Ape Fei's eyes narrowed slightly, and his eyes gestured to the scroll and sword hilt on the table, just because he gave you these things. Of course not. The Uchiha Ryu shook his head and said with sincerity on his face. Because, Danzo-sama is a good person. Quote. He was a lifesaver for me. Quote. Also, he was really caring and considerate of me. Quote. What's that? The corners of Ape Fury's mouth twitched slightly, and his eyes became strange. Danzang is a good person. Very sweet. Very considerate. Kid, are you sure you're commenting on Shimura Danzo? In this world, there are still people who say this about Tuanzang. The old man has really lived a long time. Exclamation mark. Yes. Quote. The Uchiha Ryu didn't seem to see the strange face of Sarutobi Hiza, and continued to say happily. Before I make a decision, I should think more about my parents and 2 younger brothers. Quote. I think that Lord Tuanzang must have seen that there are too many children in my family, and the expenses are also large. Quote. So I deliberately ordered me to work like a man, and work an extra job to reduce the burden, my family. Ding. Ape Flying Sun / produces a strong anger, emotion, reward, when attribute chakra form change. What did you say? Hearing this, Ape Fei's face changed wildly. Stand up suddenly. System space. Senju scratched his head with a confused face. Ah, Chinsho reacted instantly, and his eyes were sharp. Little ghost, you dare to talk nonsense with your eyes open. Chinsho reacted instantly, and his eyes were sharp. Little ghost, you dare to talk nonsense with your eyes open. The Uchiha sneered, worthy of being a despicable and sinister 1,000-armed old ghost. You can see through my thoughts all at once. But so what? Can you see through it? Can your disciples see through it? You, suddenly suffocated in the eyes of 1,000 hands. An hour ago, he would have sworn yes. However, in this short period of an hour, he has really witnessed too many of his own disciples' cerebral palsy behaviors. Now, he doesn't dare to pack tickets anymore. Boom, Uchiha Ryu laughed maniacally. 1,000-armed old ghost, aren't you the best at playing tricks in your vein? Now, I want you to see it with your own eyes. Quote, how did a few of your disciples get toyed with by me? Said 1,000 hands, face was extremely gloomy. Ding, thousands of hands generate strong anger, emotions, reward, spell detonation. In the outside world, seeing the Ape Fury's face change wildly. The Uchiha Ryu immediately pretended to be stunned. Fire. Hokage-sama. Quote. What's wrong with you? Phew. Ape Fei let out a long breath and regained his composure. Just asked lightly. Tuan Zhang him, really said that. The Uchiha Ryu smiled very silly and innocently again. Yes. Hokage-sama, you say, isn't Danzo-sama very caring? The corners of Ape Fury's mouth twitched slightly. He looked directly at the innocent face of the Uchiha Ryu. I secretly said in my heart, this is really a naive child. That fool is threatening you with your parents and family, and you think he's thinking about you. In fact, after calming down, Sarutobi Hazashi had no doubts about the veracity of what Uchiha Ryu said. After all, according to what he knows about Shimura's character, that fool can definitely do such a thing. But Ape Fei Sun Slash is still quite angry. If it were someone else, Tuan Zhang would have done it. This Uchiha Ryu is the object of his Hokage's attention. Moreover, the original identity of the Uchiha stream should not be underestimated. Danzang, do you even want to do it to the patriarch of the Uchiha clan without permission? This is too bold. Ape Fury's face was cold, and he said secretly in his heart. No, it looks like it's time to knock down the group. As soon as he saw Sarutobi's face, Uchiha Ryu immediately knew that this old guy definitely believed his words. One of the multifaceted spy tricks. How do you quickly gain the trust of your boss? The answer is, throw dirty water on the head of another boss. Moreover, it is necessary to splash without a trace, and it is, to splash smartly. Just like the Uchiha stream is now. Did he say bad things about Shimura Danzo? No, he is clearly complimenting the other party. That's pretty clever tricks. However, the Uchiha stream is also very clear. With this little trick alone, it is absolutely impossible to make these two old foxes turn their faces. I have to add another fire! Exclamation mark. At this time, Ape Fury's brows were tightly locked. I kept thinking about how to explain to the Uchiha stream. In order to keep him away from the group without damaging the image. Konoha higher-ups. After pondering for a long time, Ape Fei Chop slowly spoke. Lu, the old man thinks, you should stay away from Tuanzang. Quote. The old man values you, and more importantly, because of the will of fire burning in your heart. And Tuanzang, he must have taken a fancy to the wooden, on you. As a veteran of many years, I know him. Quote. He's so fond of taking advantage of others. Quote. The Uchiha Ryu was full of slander in his heart. Ape Fei old ghost, Ning is really faced. Tuan Zhang values my Mu Dun, aren't you? To hell with your will to fire. On the surface, he also shook his head slowly, that won't. Quote. I feel that Mu Dun doesn't seem to be so rare, right? System space. 1,000 hands were furious. The evil imp of the Uchiha family. What are you talking about? How dare you say that Mu Dun is not good? It's really cheap and good. You don't know what a great blood inheritance you have. Cut. Uchiha Izuna sneered. The blood follows the limit, the blood follows the limit, and what is great? I'm really going to put gold on my face. 1,000 hands glanced at him, and the yin and yang strange chi said. Indeed, Mu Dun is really not good. Quote. The duel with your Uchiha family is just a 100% win rate. Quote. You. Uchiha Izuna suddenly froze, turning his head to look at his eldest brother with some resentment. No, co-authored, after I died, you still didn't win once. Madara Uchiha rolled his eyes, not wanting to speak at all. Outside, Ape Fei/'s eyes widened sharply. He felt that the kid in front of him seemed to have a problem with Mu Dun's cognition. It was decided on the spot to teach him a lesson. Child, Mu Dun is an absolutely rare and great bloodline limit. Quote. You must know that during the decades of Konoha's establishment, only the first Hokage-sama possessed this kind of secret art. Quote. And now, it's just you. The Uchiha Ryu blinked a little dazedly. 3 generations of Hokage-sama, you are the elder I admire the most. Quote. I believe everything you say. Quote. But about this Mu Dun. I saw it with my own eyes today, beside Lord Danzang. There's a wooden ninja. As soon as these words came out, it can be described as an earth-shattering shock. System space. The 1,000 hands pillar once again showed a confused look. What? There are wooden ninjas under Tuanzang. Why didn't I see it just now? The Uchiha brothers glanced at each other, and they also looked at each other. Only 1,000 hands suddenly burst into laughter. Ha ha ha, evil Uchiha clan imp, the old man knows that you are in a hurry to stir up trouble between the monkey and Danzo. Quote. So I don't hesitate to use Mudun as a gimmick, and the words are amazing. However, you underestimate how much the monkey attaches importance to Mudun. With this information you provided, even if he risks falling out with Tuanzang, he will definitely forcibly search for that route. Quote. By that time, all your lies will be self-defeating. Everyone will see you for who you really are. Little ghost, although you have a little brain, but after all, you are too tender. Ding. 1,000 hands generate a strong ecstasy, emotion, reward, forbidden technique, filthy earth reincarnation. When I think of the sinister face of this guy Uchiha Ryu, it will be revealed soon. The excitement of 1,000 hands is beyond measure. At that time, Sarutobi Hiza and Danzo will definitely be on high guard against this little ghost. It's better to kill it directly, and never suffer from it. For a while, the abacus in the heart of 1,000 hands was crackling. At that time, Sarutobi Hiza and Danzo will definitely be on high guard against this little ghost. It's better to kill it directly, and never suffer from it. For a while, the abacus in the heart of 1,000 hands was crackling. Facing the passionate, acceptance speech, between thousands of hands. The Uchiha Ryu just replied lightly. Oh, maybe. Quote. His indifferent attitude made the 4 undead in the space stunned. These dead spirits. No one believed that there would be a wooden ninja under Danzo. After all, Mudun is rare, and these guys know better than anyone else. Of course, more importantly, they've been watching the outside world live. It's completely clear, how can there be a wooden ninja around Tuanzang? This is simply Uchiha Ryu nonsense. But, outside. Ding. Ape Flying Sun Slash has a strong shock, emotion, reward, Earth Escape, Earth Dragon Bullet. What are you talking about? Sarutobi got up from his chair again. Say it again. His gaze was fixed on the Uchiha Ryu's face. An old face is a little red because of being too excited. Uchiha Ryu pretended to be startled and stammered. Yes, it's true. Quote. The man was wearing a mask, and I didn't know what he looked like. Quote. But he did have the wood escape blood inheritance limit, and he also performed a wood escape technique on the spot. Quote. Danzo-sama said that if I join the roots, I can be the companion of that wood escape artist. Quote. He will nurture both of us, together. Phew, exhale, the ape's breathing has become much heavier. He sat back in his chair. The thought in my heart is racing. The news brought by the Uchiha stream is indeed extremely shocking. It's incredible, even a city like him lost his temper in an instant. However, Sarutobi did not doubt the authenticity of this news. First of all, he felt that the Uchiha Ryu had no reason to lie to him at all. Secondly, he had now thought of the origin of that wooden ninja. Orochimaru. Forbidden experiments. It must be like this. Ding. Ape Flying Sun Slash has a strong, jealous, emotion, reward, Tudun, Tuliu River. Okay, hello, Shimura Danzo. I really let you and Orochimaru succeed in tossing. However, you actually hid the successful test object in your own hands. It's been several years, and there hasn't been a bit of wind at all. What are you trying to do? I want to use that wooden ninja as a whole card to secretly cultivate. Wait until one day to deal with the old man. He. Danzo, the abacus is well played. It's a pity that the old man now knows your secret. Tomorrow I will send men to surround the roots. You've been tossing for so many years, and you're still working for the old man in the end. Ape Fei's inner thoughts turned sharply, and his face kept changing. He's made up his mind. Early tomorrow morning, we will surround the root base. Take that wood escape ninja over. System space. Izuna Uchiha said with some amusement. Between 1,000 hands, it seems that this disciple of yours seems to believe this kid's words. Quote. Kionju's face was obviously not good looking, and he roared in his heart. Idiot, monkey, you can't see. Such an obvious lie. Moreover, you have worked with Tuanzang for so many years, don't you know what kind of temperament he has? I'd rather believe the words of an Uchiha than trust my old teammates. Isn't it just stupidity? But soon, he calmed down again. Pondering, it's better to believe it first. Quote, believe first, then go back to search. As soon as you search, the truth will be completely revealed. So that the true colors of this Uchiha imp can be exposed. Hokage's office. It was not easy for the ape to adjust his emotions. Looking back at the Uchiha stream, you continue. Quote, Hokage-sama, the Uchiha said with sincerity on his face. That's why I promised Danzo-sama. Quote, it's not because he's giving me benefits, it's nothing in my eyes. Quote, it's not because I can be friends with other wooden ninjas. Quote, all the people in the village are my companions. Mainly because Lord Tuanzang has saved my life. Quote, moreover, he said that I have the ability and should contribute more to Konoha. And I'm willing to contribute everything for Konoha and myself. Such a sincere remark. With the amount of will of fire, it is simply so high. Coupled with the Uchiha stream's sincere face, it can be called an actor-level performance. Unexpectedly, the old fox of the ape flying sun was wet. Tears welled up in my eyes. Ding. Ape flying sun / produces a strong appreciation, emotion, reward, earth attribute chakra nature change. Good, good, what a good boy. Sarutobi grabbed Uchiha Ryu's hand, his face full of relief. System space. The four undead were also completely shocked by the acting of the Uchiha stream. Thousands of hands gritted his teeth and muttered. Gen Naima can act. Evil Uchiha clan imp, are you sure you graduated from a ninja school? Nada, who graduated from film school? Don't doubt it, there are movies in the ninja world. Sarutobi slashed and held Uchiha Ryu's hand. He continued with a smile. By the way, what else did Danzang say? Oh yes. Uchiha Ryu bowed his head a little ashamedly. Danzo-sama asked me to hide the fact that I joined the Roots. Quote, even if it's for you, keep it a secret. Quote, HMPH. Danzang. I know. Ape Fei sneered in his heart. But the surface is still smiling. Then if that's the case, why did you go against the will of your lifesaver and come to tell the old man? Uchiha Ryu shook his head and said solemnly, although Danzo-sama is my savior. Quote, however, Hokage-sama has always been the elder I respect the most. Also at the helm of Konoha. I don't think anything about Konoha should be hidden from Hokage-sama. Ha, Ape Fei nodded happily. Good, good, you're doing well. Quote, he was very satisfied with the performance of the Uchiha stream. As a superior, what Ape Fei-san / needs most is such an absolutely loyal subordinate. And Uchiha Ryu's unreserved showdown tonight, in the eyes of Sarutobi Hiza, is very satisfied. Now, he can be said to have 100% trust in Uchiha stream. And quickly, another idea came to Ape Fei's head. Immediately said with a smile. Since that's the case, Liu, then you will have to work a little harder in the future. Quote, learn the art of the wood clone as soon as possible, and serve on both the dark part and the root side at the same time. Quote, in the future, what you see and hear at the root will also be reported to the old man at any time. Quote, also, tonight's meeting between you and me, and all conversations, must be kept strictly confidential from everyone, understand? In the future, what you see and hear at the root will also be reported to the old man at any time. Quote, also, tonight's meeting between you and me, and all conversations, must be kept strictly confidential from everyone, understand? For the treacherous and cunning Ape Fei / he, as the Hokage, in Konoha, should have been an existence that turned his hands into clouds and covered his hands for rain. But actually, in Konoha, there are two places that have always been difficult for him to control. One, naturally, is the powerful and unruly Uchiha clan. The other is the root of the old guy's group. This department has always been controlled by Tuanzang alone, and the needle cannot be inserted or the water cannot be splashed. There are a lot of cats in it, and even he, the Hokage, doesn't know about it at all. For example, this would escape ninja incident. It's not going to go on like this. It's time for a change. And now, on the body of Uchiha Ryu. Ape Fei his eye sees hope. This would be a perfect spy. Like a nail, embedded in the roots. Understood, replied Uchiha cheerfully. Ape Fei hesitated for a moment, and then explained. Child, the old man asked you to hide it from Tuanzang. Quote. It's not for you to be a double agent. Quote. I don't want to cause you unnecessary trouble. Quote. I know this person. Quote. If you let him know that you have disobeyed his will and come to report to the old man, he will definitely give you small shoes. Quote. Do you understand? The Uchiha was very contemptuous in his heart. Truly, you're not trying to make me a double agent. You just want me to be a one-sided agent for you. Ape Fei old ghost, I let you say all the good things. But on the surface, of course, he is very grateful to Dade. Hokage-sama thinks so much about me, my subordinates can't thank you enough. Ha, Sarutobi smiled with satisfaction. A simple-minded little ghost without any scheming is just a fool. Pick up the scroll and hilt from the table and hand it back to the Uchiha Ryu. These things will all belong to you in the future. Put it away. Quote. Thank you, Hokage-sama. Uchiha Ryu thanked again. Sarutobi smiled and nodded. There was a light tap somewhere on the Hokage's desk. It seems to be some kind of mechanism code. A short time later, a white-haired figure with a cat face mask appeared in the office in an instant. Respectfully half kneeling on the ground. I've seen 3 generations of adults, but I don't know what instructions you have. Ding. Host contact with Kakashi Hachiki detected. Do you sign in? Ha. The Uchiha was stunned. Sign in to Kakashi's. Could it be that person? Immediately return. Check in. Ding. The host has successfully checked into Kakashi Hagi to unlock Hagi Shuamao Undead. Outside, Ape Fei smiled, hee. Quote. Raising his chin, he gestured to the Uchiha stream. Kakashi, let's introduce, this is Uchiha Ryu. Quote. This kid will be assigned to your detachment in the future. Quote. Codename, Tianchin. Speaking of which, you two still have some roots. Kakashi bowed slightly, turning his head to look at the Uchiha stream, his eyes narrowing slightly. He secretly said in his heart, the Uchiha clan. Are you a native of the earth? Speaking of which, this is the first time in history that the Uchiha clan has joined the shadows. Quote. What's so special about this little ghost? Ding. Kakashi Hachiki has a strong shock, emotion, reward, thunder attribute chakra nature change. At the same time as Kakashi looked at the Uchiha stream, the Uchiha Ryu was also looking at him and smiled. It's an honor to follow the famous copy ninja. Quote. Ape Fei Chop also said in a timely manner. Kakashi, this kid is just like your former teammate, Uchiha Obito. Quote. They are all steadfast inheritors of the will of fire. You have to lead him well. Quote. Listen to the words of the ape flying and slashing. The Uchiha almost burst out laughing. He and Uchiha Obito are both staunch inheritors of the will of fire. This wave is really a big joke in the world. But Kakashi apparently listened, and immediately bowed down to receive the order. Ha, Sarutobi smiled and waved his hand. Alright, it's not too early today, so you all go back and rest. Quote. Yes, Hokage-sama. The 2 glorious members of the Dark Department, one new and one old, responded in unison. After leaving the Hokage's office, Uchiha Ryu was just about to go home when he was stopped by Kakashi Hachiki. Is there anything going on, Captain Kakashi? Said Uchiha Ryu. Kakashi hesitated for a moment and asked. Tianchin. Quote. Do you have any dreams? The Uchiha Ryu was stunned for a moment, then grinned. Of course there is. Quote. My dream is to become the Hokage. As he spoke, he gave a thumbs up excitedly. Uchiha Ryu knows. This guy seems to be lazy and indifferent, but in fact, there is more inner drama. I like to reminisce and remember of the gods. Therefore, he deliberately made the appearance of Uchiha Obito back then. I'm going to spur the captain on the side. Really? Seeing this, Kakashi's pupils shrank suddenly. This moment. In Kakashi's eyes, the figure of the Uchiha stream seems to be familiar with another figure. Slowly coincided. Obito. Ding. Kakashi Hachiki has a strong reminiscence, emotion, reward, thunder raid rage. Tisk. Uchiha Ryu's heart was slightly happy. This brings out the famous ninjutsu. Sure enough, this kind of guy who has a lot of past and a soft heart. Just pinch it and you'll easily get a reward. My stupid Captain Kakashi. Since your heart is so can't let go of Uchiha Obito. Then, as your most loyal subordinate, in the future, I will definitely find an opportunity to unmask him for you personally. By that time, your divine might will be mine too. Just as Uchiha Ryu was fantasizing about a bright future, Kakashi suddenly said. Today is the first day we met. Quote, as your captain, I'll treat you to ramen. Quote. The Uchiha Ryu smiled slightly, in that case, that's disrespectful. Quote. Soon, the two of them arrived at Konoha's most famous ramen shop, Ichiraku Ramen. The hand-beaten boss is warmly entertaining the guests. According to legend, this guy has another identity, the hidden powerhouse of the Itsuki clan. Uncle Big Barrel Wood. Kakashi ordered two of his most popular miso ramen, and the two chatted with each other. Suddenly, in the afterglow of the Uchiha stream, he caught a glimpse of a thin figure. Suddenly my eyes lit up. That's Naruto Uzumaki. I don't know, on such a small child of prophecy, can there be any rewards? Quote. Also, 9 tails, isn't it possible to farm rewards as well? That's Naruto Uzumaki. I don't know, on such a small child of prophecy, can there be any rewards? Quote. Also, 9 tails, isn't it possible to farm rewards as well? Looking at Naruto Uzumaki not far away, Uchiha Ryu's gaze flickered slightly. This little imp will be 3 years old now, but the power is quite amazing. Everywhere they passed, everyone retreated. The gaze that looked at him was also extremely complicated. Fear, hatred, and even murderous intent intertwined. Some people spoke ill of each other. Someone even threw stones at it. But all this, Naruto did not react. It seemed that he had long been she to it. Just bowed his head and covered his stomach, as if he was hungry. The Uchiha raised his eyebrows slightly, stepped out of his chair, and walked towards Naruto. Seeing this, Kakashi Hachiki also spotted Naruto in an instant. A touch of sourness flashed in his heart, Teacher Watergate's child. But he quickly came to his senses and reached out to stop the Uchiha stream. Stream, what are you going to do? The Uchiha sighed, that kid looks pitiful. Quote. And, it looked like he was hungry, so I asked him to come and eat ramen with him. Quote. When Kakashi Hachiki heard this, his heart warmed at first, and he said secretly. Sure enough, like Obito, he is very kind-hearted. Quote. But, no, I can't. Kakashi Hachiki shook his head. The 3 generations of Hokage-sama have ordered that no ninja be allowed to help that child without permission. Quote. Actually, Ape Fei did not give such an order to others. It's just that Kakashi is alone with him. After all, in the whole of Konoha, few people know that Naruto is the orphan of Bo Feng Shuaman. Except for him Kakashi, no one will want to take the initiative to help this demon fox incarnation. According to Hokage-sama, this is to avoid leaking news. It's to protect Naruto. Kakashi didn't believe this kind of thing either. But there is no way to disobey the meaning of the ape flying to the sun. Uchiha Ryu looked directly at Kakashi and said in a deep voice. Captain Kakashi, I don't believe Hokage-sama would give such an order. Quote. My education, especially the will of fire, should be to love everyone in the village equally. As he spoke, he shook off Kakashi's hand and walked firmly towards little Naruto. Looking at his back, Kakashi's pupils shrank suddenly. Obito, this kid is really like you. Kind, firm. Quote. By comparison. And Mr. Watergate. Ding. Flag Wood Kakashi has a strong, guilty, emotion, reward, thunder attribute chakra form change. At the same time, within the system space. For the first time, the emotions of the Thousand Hands pillar fluctuated strongly. Can anyone tell me, why do the people of the village do this to a young child? Even the Hokage, to give such an order. Didn't we build the village to protect these children? Ding. A Thousand Hands have a strong, anger, emotion between the pillars, reward, intermediate immortal body. Cut. Madara Uchiha pursed his lips disdainfully. Hasi's hot mom, you're still as naive as ever. Uchiha Ryu's voice also suddenly sounded. Looks, the first Hokage-sama. Quote. You've seen a little bit of Konoha darkness. Quote. Trust me, that's just the tip of the iceberg. Quote. What did you say? Said the voice of the Thousand Hands pillar. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. Chinsho frowned, and interjected. Big brother, don't listen to this little ghost's exaggeration. The old man believes that the monkey must have his own reasons for doing this. And, if you feel it carefully, the child's body is. Thousand Hands was stunned for a moment, and then reacted. This familiar wave. Is the Nine Tails a contemporary pillar force? But even if it is, it shouldn't be. Yes, Uchiha Ryu sneered. Even if it's the Nine Tails pillar force, what's the matter? This kid is the hero who guarded Konoha with his life, the orphan of the fourth Hokage. It's the son of a hero. Moreover, he is still so young, just as a container for the Nine Tails. It should be said that he himself is a hero. But as a result, that's how the village leaders, and the villagers, treated him. Tell me, shouldn't such a village be changed? Yu was so frightened that his face turned red. I had to forcibly retort. Even if you need to change, it's not your turn to be an evil Uchiha imp. The Thousand Hands pillar was silent, just clenched his fists. He was already a Hokage with the most heart Madonna. It's really hard to see a little darkness. In particular, Naruto was still such a young child, which made him feel even more sad. Moreover, his wife, Uzumaki Mito, was originally the original Nine Tails pillar force. Empathy to the next level. Ding. A Thousand Hands have a strong resentment, emotion, reward, Mudun Wood Dragon technique. And through this incident, Uchiha Ryu seems to have found the soft underbelly of this ninja god. In fact, the guy's mood has been fairly stable since he summoned him. There were not a few gold coins that exploded at all. Even if the Uchiha Ryu clamored for the Uchiha to rule Konoha, the Thousand Hands pillar was completely unmoved. Now it seems, this guy is really fraternal. He doesn't care who rules Konoha. I just want harmony, stability and prosperity in Konoha village, and everyone loves each other. However, the more so. When he saw the existing darkness in Konoha village, his emotions would fluctuate even more. The more rewards you will get out of the show. Hello, little ghost. The Uchiha Ryu came to Naruto Uzumaki. Greet him with a smile. Naruto Uzumaki looked up, looking at the handsome little brother with a gentle smile on his face. His big eyes were full of disbelief. Big brother, are you calling me? For so long. Except that the very kind old man would appear from time to time and invite him to dinner and give him some money. Others, it's all hateful. I've always spoken ill of him. No one had ever spoken to him with such a smile. Ding. Host contact with Naruto Uzumaki detected. Do you sign in? This time the system prompt was completely expected by the Uchiha stream. Immediately return. Check in. Ding. The host has successfully signed in to Naruto Uzumaki, and unlocked Bo Feng Shui Gate Undead. Yes, the Uchiha smiled and touched Naruto's little head. What's your name, little one? Seeing that someone took the initiative to ask his name, Naruto suddenly seemed to have strength. Enthusiastically shouted, my name is Naruto Uzumaki. Big brother, you have to remember this name. Oh, why? Asked the Uchiha with a smile. Naruto hesitated for a moment before he said, Because I'm going to be a very powerful person in the future. At this time, Naruto was still too young to have been brainwashed by the will of fire of 3 generations of old men. He has not yet made becoming a Hokage his life goal. It's just an instinct to be a great person. He thought, maybe in this way, he will be able to get the recognition and respect of others. But, as soon as Naruto's bold words fell, there was a sound in his stomach. This made Naruto look a little embarrassed. However, what Naruto didn't expect was, the Uchiha didn't make fun of him. Instead, he nodded solemnly, I see. Quote, Naruto Uzumaki. Quote, meet me, my name is Uchiha Ryu. Quote, as he spoke, he smiled and stretched out his fist. Naruto was stunned at first. Immediately after, a bright smile was revealed. He did the same, and stretched out his little fist. I bumped into the Uchiha stream. Naruto, who was a young man, didn't know what this gesture meant. However, at the moment when the fists collided, his heart was instantly touched. The distance between two originally strangers seems to be infinitely closer. Mutual recognition. Naruto Uzumaki's previous life was so gloomy. Nowadays, the appearance of the Uchiha stream It's like a ray of sunshine shining and dispelling all darkness. This moment, in the dark, there seems to be something called bond, which has been initially established. Exclamation mark. Ding. Naruto Uzumaki has a strong feeling of gratitude, reward, secret technique, Setsu no Jutsu. Ding. Wave Feng Shuaman produces strong, excited, emotions, reward, spiral pill. Ding. There is a strong excitement between the 1,000 hand pillars, reward, Mudun chakra form change. Sure enough, Uchiha said secretly in his heart. For the child of prophecy who grew up, nothing too good could explode on his body for the time being. However, it is necessary to establish the bonds first. In the future, in which direction will this little fox grow? He, Uchiha Ryu, already has some decision-making power. Thinking of this, the Uchiha smiled and said, "Little Naruto, are you hungry? Let's go, big brother will take you to eat ramen." Quote. Yes, Naruto jumped up excitedly. Thank you, big brother. He had already smelled the aroma coming from the Ichiraku ramen shop. I have long been deeply attracted to it. That's why it's going around here. The Uchiha Ryu smiled slightly, took Naruto's hand, and walked back to the ramen shop. Kakashi Hachiki watched the scene, especially seeing that it only took a very short time for the Uchiha to make Naruto go from lost to extremely happy. I was filled with emotion. Flow, the same as Obito. Quote. He's a pretty contagious guy too. Kakashi was thinking about it when the two of them had come closer. Uchiha Lul introduced. Oh, little Naruto. Quote. This is Kakashi. Brother. The Hokage's age is actually a mess. Kakashi is the son of Hakuya, and Hakuya is the same generation as Jiraiya, so theoretically Kakashi is also the same generation as Mizuman, but at the same time he is a disciple of Mizuman, and later became the mentor of Mizuman's son. Let's call it brother. Closing parenthesis. Naruto called out very obediently, Brother Kakashi. Hey. Kakashi's lips trembled slightly, and he agreed. Looking at the orphan of the teacher in front of him, who he had never cared for, he suddenly felt the urge to cry. Ding. Kakashi Hachiki has a strong feeling of guilt, reward, sealing technique, sealing evil law seal. Half a day. Looking at Naruto gobbling up, Kakashi suddenly said to the Uchiha Stream, you were right. Quote. Before, I had too many scruples. Quote. The Uchiha Ryu smiled and patted him on the shoulder, you can't be blamed for that. Quote. After that, he turned his head to a certain big barrel of wood and said to a strong man in the hidden world, Boss. In the future, Naruto, this kid will come to eat ramen again, and you will make it for him. Quote. Well, it's under the name of Kakashi's predecessors. Kakashi was shocked and protested. Hey, why me? Well, Captain Kakashi, you know, I'm still a kid too. The Uchiha shrugged. I just graduated from ninja school today, and I haven't made any money yet. Quote. Besides, my parents have 3 children, and the family is already stretched thin. The corners of Kakashi's mouth twitched slightly, and he said in his heart. Where did this profiteer come from? That guy wasn't so treacherous back then, was he? It's true to say that you just graduated and didn't make any money. But, you're from the Uchiha clan, and your father is the patriarch of the Uchiha clan, so it's pure nonsense to say that raising a child is stretched thin or something, right? Ding. Kakashi Hagi has a strong feeling of contempt, reward, kuno rage. However, the Uchiha Ryu seemed to completely ignore his expression. Go on. What's more, since you feel that you are wrong, then you should make some compensation. Quote. Can you just bear to let this little devil go hungry all the time? As he spoke, he stared at Kakashi with big innocent eyes. This moment, the copy ninja of the famous ninja world was completely defeated. His head drooped straight down, and he said without love. Good boss, and it will be in my account. Quote. Okay, replied Uncle Hand immediately with a smile. Yes, Naruto shouted excitedly too. That way, I'll be able to eat many ramen noodles from now on. As he spoke, he bowed to the Uchiha very politely, Big brother, thank you. This moment, the bond between the two. Before I knew it, it seemed to have deepened a lot. I said little ghost. Kakashi's mouth twitched slightly. Protested. It seems that I took The Uchiha Ryu pulled Naruto over at the right time and taught him in a serious manner. Come, I still want to thank you for your second brothers. Okay, Naruto was quite good. He bowed to Kakashi again. Thank you, second brother. Ding. Kakashi Hagi has a strong emotion of, no love, reward, to done to Luby Kakashi Hagi dog tutu version. Ding. Kakashi Hagi has a strong emotion of, no love, reward, to done to Luby Kakashi Hagi dog tutu version. Kakashi hid his face with his hands, feeling like he had nothing to love. Why is this happening? Not only did I spend money, but even my generation seems to have come down. What the hell, second brother? I'm the oldest. At this time, the atmosphere in the system space suddenly warmed up. Senju Tsuruma. Ha 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 ha. The genius boy of the Uchiha family is really loving and funny. 1,000 hands. Cut. Never forget to play these intrigues and tricks. Actually be generous to others. Bo Feng Shuaman. Senior Shuamao, I'm really embarrassed. Sakushish Hagi. Don't take it personally, you're Kakashi's teacher, and it's his job to take care of your children. Madara Uchiha was alone in the corner, his eyes flickering. I kept thinking about it. Uchiha Ryu is a little imp who has a deep mind and great ambitions. When he came into contact with the contemporary Nine Tails Pillar Force, could it be that he had any other ideas? Uchiha Ryu put his arm around Naruto Uzumaki. Chakra flowed down his fingertips and onto Naruto without a trace. Rushed to the abdominal seal. Sure enough, the next moment, a spirit body of the Uchiha Ryu appeared in front of a huge and dark prison. Roar. Suddenly, there was a loud roar from the prison. A huge fiery red figure slowly showed its figure. It is the strongest of the nine-tailed beasts, the nine-tailed demon fox. It stared at the Uchiha stream. The huge vertical pupils are full of violence and murderous intent. Since the death of the 6 Tao immortals, for thousands of years, too much hatred has accumulated between the tailed beasts and humans. At this moment, the nine-tailed demon fox does not trust any human beings and is hostile. Kid, who are you? I can't imagine it. The first person to come to this place was not the golden retriever outside. Quote. It's an outsider. Quote. Definitely. The Uchiha smiled and spread his hands. In this world, there are many things that no one can think of. Quote. Funny little ghost. The eyes of the nine-tailed demon fox narrowed slightly. Little ghost, you can see that you have a story. Quote. And, there's a thirst for power. Quote. When he said this, a touch of extremely human insidiousness flashed in the vertical pupils of the nine tails. The words are also full of strong demagogy. You come forward and break the seal on the iron door, I can lend you the power of my tailed beast. Hee. Uchiha Ryu chuckled. Slightly mockingly, he spoke. 9 tails, 9 tails. Quote. You may be able to fool that blonde kid out there. Quote. Fool me, forget it. Quote. In front of these eyes, there is nothing to hide. Quote. Said. His eyes were slightly closed. When I opened it again, it was already crimson. 3 pitch black magatama spinning wildly. Looking at these familiar demon eyes, the eyes of the nine-tailed demon fox widened suddenly, and they were furious. Right wheel eyes. Little ghost, you belong to that clan. Ding. 9 llamas have a strong rage, emotion, reward, chakra total *3. The Nine Tails' hatred for the Uchiha clan can be said to be unforgettable. In just a few decades, he has been forcibly manipulated by Madara Uchiha, Obito, and 2 Uchiha people. The dignified tailed beast was forcibly accepted as a psychic beast. Like dogs, driven and enslaved. But those evil eyes are born to restrain tailed beasts. Even if the Nine Tails has almost infinite chakra, they can't resist. Such an unbearable past is obviously extremely angry for the pretentious Nine Tails uncle. So, at this time, when it saw the riding wheel eye again, it was instantly furious. Boom! The nine-tailed demon fox in the cage roared wildly, and the 9 fiery red tails danced wildly. Its massive body certainly couldn't break through the cage. However, its claws can. Sharp claws, wrapped in fiery red chakra. With the momentum of thunder, it slashed at the top of Uchiha Stream's head. As if to chop this Uchiha Madara's junior to death with a claw. However, in the face of the angry claw of the nine-tailed demon fox, the Uchiha Ryu was as if he hadn't seen it. He was still smiling, just quietly looking up, the claws growing in front of his eyes. Phew. Eventually, the Nine-Tails claws, when they were only a few inches away from the top of the Uchiha stream's head, came to a halt with a bang. In front of the massive claws, the Uchiha Ryu's figure looked so small. The Nine-Tails' vertical pupils stared at the Uchiha Ryu with a puzzled expression. Shen Sheng asked, "Little ghost, why don't you avoid it?" "Because I'm not afraid." Quote, "Why aren't you afraid?" "Not afraid, just not afraid." Quote, the Uchiha grinned, "Nine-Tails, don't pretend to be like this to scare people." Quote, "Now I am just a spirit body formed by chakra, even if I really die, what can I do?" Cut. Nine-Tails pursed his lips and retracted his claws a little reluctantly. The Uchiha Ryu smiled slightly. The next second, in an instant, he disappeared in place. When it reappeared, it was inside the iron gate, above the head of the nine-tailed demon fox. Yaga. Nine-Tails was furious. The little ghost of the Uchiha family dares to step on Uncle Ben's head. Get the hell out of here. Ding. Nine llamas have a strong rage, emotion, reward, chakra total *3. In the face of the Nine-Tails' intimidation, the Uchiha Ryu was unmoved. He even sat down directly on top of Nine-Tails' head and stroked Nine-Tails' hair like a cat. "Fox, don't be so manic." Quote, "The consequences of offending me are very serious." Quote, cut. Nine-Tails pouted disdainfully. "Bullshitty little ghost. That's it, wait until you can open the kaleidoscope writing wheel. With your current mere 3 hooks and jade writing wheels, you are not qualified to say this." Ha. The Uchiha chuckled. "Kaleidoscope writing wheels, of course I'll get it." Quote, "And, forgot to tell you." Quote, "I have something else besides Sharingan." Quote, as he spoke, his body suddenly exuded a strong vitality. At the same time, vines as thick as dragons grew out of thin air. It's that man's Mudun. Nine-Tails' pupils shrank suddenly. The huge body trembled unconsciously. No way. The shadow brought to it by the Thousand Hands pillar back then was too profound. Nine-Tails will never forget that scene. The man, wielding the giant wooden figure, pinched it like a puppy. Say to it, "Nine-Tails, your power is too dangerous." And it, for that person's Mudun technique, has no power to resist at all. Madara Uchiha, a Thousand Hands pillars. These two people, so to speak, are the strongest enemies that the Nine-Tails have encountered in thousands of years. Their eternal kaleidoscope and wood escape technique, like a nightmare, haunted the Nine-Tails' heart. There would be someone who is both a writer and a wooden escape. How is this possible? Could it be that Madara Uchiha and those 2B fastards between Senjutsu have a baby? Ding. Nine llamas have a strong, frightened, emotion, reward, nine-tailed chakra seeds. Nine-tailed chakra seed, a wisp of nine-tailed beast origin chakra, stored in the host's body, can borrow the power of the nine tails to a certain extent. Ding. Nine llamas have a strong, frightened, emotion, reward, nine-tailed chakra seeds. Nine-tailed chakra seed, a wisp of tailed beast origin chakra of the nine llamas, stored in the main body of the host, can borrow the power of the nine-tailed to a certain extent. The Uchiha stream, who received the system prompt, grinned in satisfaction. He patted the head of the Nine-Tails lightly and said with an evil smile, "Fox, times have changed." Quote, "Well, just stay here." Quote, "Remember, never try to be my enemy, at any time." Quote, "Otherwise, the end will be miserable." As he spoke, he turned into a point of light in the sky and dissipated in place. Stinky little ghost. The nine-tailed demon fox took a bite fiercely. It slowly leaned down, thinking in its heart, "I can't believe that such a character appeared in the ninja world. It has both a wooden escape and a writing wheel eye." Quote, "This little ghost, could it be the person that the old man of the six paths said?" The Uchiha Ryu had a friendly exchange with the Nine-Tails in the mental space for a long time. In fact, less than a second has passed since the outside world. Kakashi and Naruto didn't notice anything unusual at all. The three of them quickly finished eating the ramen. Kakashi offered to send Naruto home, and Uchiha Ryu was happy to relax. After returning home, the Uchiha stream directly turned off the permission to watch live broadcasts in the system space. Lie in bed, playing with the sword of Thor that he just obtained. Recalling the events of this day, Uchiha Ryu suddenly felt like a world away. To be honest, I didn't find out until now when I wrote it, and it turned out that only a day had passed. Closing parenthesis. Obviously in the morning, it's still a waste wood with forbearance strength. At night, he turned out to be a master with a variety of blood inheritance limits. Moreover, it also has the dual identity of shadow and root at the same time. The wonders of life are incredible. Sleep well. Tomorrow, the ape will fly the old fox and bring people to surround the roots. Quote. When the time comes, it's going to be another good show. Quote. Thinking of this, the corners of Uchiha Ryu's mouth rose slightly, and he fell asleep. Following, the Uchiha got up early in the morning. Change into the dark costume and mask that Kakashi gave him. Permissions for system space have been reopened. Then, his fingers snapped to his chest. Wood escape, wood clone technique. A wooden doppelganger, split out of his body. The clone quickly faded away from the wood, and in 2 breaths, it became as real as a real person. System space. Witnessing this scene, Thousand Hands changed color in a flash. Nani? The evil imp of the Uchiha family just got this scroll yesterday. Quote. It only took 1 night to. Now you can do it proficiently. No, maybe it didn't take a whole night. Is this worth it? Ding. There is a strong, jealous, emotion between the Thousand Hands, reward, water escape, water blade slash. The Thousand Hands pillar was still smiling heartlessly. Sighed. What a genius boy. This talent, it's much stronger than the old man back then. Ding. A strong, praise, emotion arises between the Thousand Hands pillars, reward, secret technique, healing without a seal. In the early morning, he successfully exploded 2 gold coins, and the Uchiha was in an extremely good mood. In fact, the technique of the wooden clone, he had already brushed it from the body of the Thousand Hands pillar. There's no need to hide that bullshit scroll at all. However, the Uchiha Ryu deliberately created the illusion of quick learning chi and supernatural talent to stimulate the Thousand Hands brothers. Sure enough, the reward exploded all at once. The 2 Uchiha streamers glanced at each other and nodded slightly. Then, at the same time, disappear in place. The main body goes to the Hokage's office, and the clone goes to Shimura Danzo's root organization to report. The most amazing thing is, the system also gives a dual perspective, live broadcast. Let the undead in the system space not only see the perspective of the Uchiha stream itself, but also the perspective of the clone. It's quite humane. And, obviously, these undead had already witnessed the flickering of the 3 generations of Hokage by the Uchiha Ryu yesterday. Today's focus will definitely be on the side of the wooden clone and Tuan Zhang. Under the gaze of the crowd, the wooden clone followed the guidance on the Tuanzang scroll, turning around. Bypassed a bunch of disguises, traps, enchantments. Eventually, I came to the root base located underground. Shimura Danzo saw the arrival of Uchiha Ryu with a face full of surprise. Why did you come so soon? It's not that you will be, if you practice first. Wait, you've already practiced. The Uchiha replied respectfully, yes. Danzo-sama. I think Danzo-sama must want me to come and play sooner. Quote. That's why I practiced that technique overnight. Quote. Fortunately, I was not dishonored. Quote. Ding. Shimura Tunzo has a strong ecstasy, emotion, reward, wind escape, vacuum wave. Shimura was overjoyed when he heard this. He slapped Uchiha Ryu on the shoulder heavily. Good. 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 Child, the old man really didn't misunderstand you. Follow me. As he spoke, he waved his hand with Uchiha Ryu into his office. However, Tuanzang's ass hasn't been hot yet. The Uchiha Ryu told him a bad news with a solemn face. Danzo-sama, 3 generations of Hokage-sama, you know about us. Quote. What? Shimura stood up abruptly, his gaze staring directly at Uchiha Ryu. You told him. Ding. Shimura Tunzo has a strong anger, emotion, reward, wind escape, vacuum waves. Of course not. The Uchiha slowly shook his head. How could I betray Danzo-sama? Quote. Last night, not long after Danzo-sama left, Hokage-sama sent the shadows to find me. Quote. In the Hokage's office, ask me directly if I have taken refuge in you. Quote. I wanted to cover it up, but Hokage-sama said. He calculated that you would come back to me. Quote. He had gone through the crystal ball and seen everything the two of us were talking about. Quote. System space. Thousand Hands sneered, fool little ghost. Lie at both ends, right? Can you have a word of truth in your mouth? However, even if you are clever in your words, it will be difficult to return to the sky. As long as the monkey brings someone to search for the would escape ninja today, then your true colors will definitely be revealed. Ha, the Uchiha sneered. Thousand-armed old ghost, let's wait and see. Outside, Shimura Danzo threw the crutch aside in a bit of a rage. Monkey, this guy is such a calculating old man, and he is too deceitful. It's the old man who miscalculated. Danzo didn't doubt Uchiha Ryu's words. After all his life, he was suppressed by ape fury to death. Moreover, in the root base, there is an enchantment to protect it. The telescope technique of the ape flying sun / cannot be viewed. But when he recruited Uchiha Ryu before, he was outside. Tuanzang waved his hand and forcibly suppressed his anger. You continue. Quote. What did the monkey say later? Do you want to forcibly detain you, and you are not allowed to come to the old man's roots? Not really. The Uchiha shook his head. The 3 generations of Hokage-sama thought about it for a moment, and still let me follow Danzo-sama's instructions. Quote. Use the technique of the wood clone and serve in the root and dark parts at the same time. Quote. However, in the name of the Hokage, he begged me to tell him everything I had seen and heard in the roots. Hokage-sama said that it was all for Konoha. When Shimura heard this, he didn't have the slightest suspicion. Because, this is really in line with the consistent style of ape flying and slashing. Tuanzang's face was extremely gloomy, and he roared in his heart. Ah, the hateful ape flying to the sun, even playing undercover with the old man. I'm still pretending to be a little ghost. You're all for Konoha. Stop, you're just in it for your own power. The old man is for everything Konoha does. Ding. Shimura Tunzang has a strong anger, emotion, reward, wind escape, vacuum jade. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.